All right, guys, welcome in. We got a lot to talk about tonight. I probably should have gone last night and not taken the day off because there's a ton happening. There's just a massive amount happening. I don't know if you have been following. I've been totally out of touch with everyone today. I'm on Verizon. And I don't know if you are on Verizon, but there's like a 50% chance you can't use your cell phone. So I've tried to use my phone all day. As of right now, I'm still in SOS mode. So if you've tried to call me, don't try to call me. Don't try to call me. Don't try to call me. But if you have, I was not available. It just went to voicemail. I don't even think it went to voicemail. I think it just acted like I didn't pay my bill or something. Everybody thinks I'm a bum, a deadbeat. I am not. I am not. I don't know whether it's hitting other services. I haven't dug that too deeply into it. I do wonder, though, whether or not it has something to do with what we're planning in the very near future overseas. We will talk about that in depth tonight. We will also talk about, we have news. I will show you the news real quickly. I will address it more in my opening statement. This is something I intended to address in my opening statement a few days, maybe a few weeks from now even. I've got everything planned out. But Astrid Tumenez, she's stepping down. She was the president of Utah Valley University when Charlie Kirk was neutralized. So I will give you my thoughts on that. I have a whole opening that I had intended to do about Astrid Tumenez and her role there and her history and everything. I've condensed it tonight because she will no longer be there when I get around to doing that part of the show. Speaking of, I need to tell you this because I get a lot of feedback on, oh, you should cover this in your opening. You should cover that in your opening. And I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate it. But the opening has structure. This show is developing. It's going places. There's a development. There's an order to the way in which I'm providing these opening statements. You'll notice if you go back and listen to them, or at least go back and look at the topics, you'll notice there is some sort of logic. I got Joe's logic book back there. There's some sort of logic to why I am covering things in the order in which I'm covering them. And so have no fear, ladies and gentlemen. Have absolutely no fear. I got to get my grumblers pulled up so I can see their comments here. There we go. Let me get my grumblers pulled up. Good evening, grumblers. How are you guys? I did not intend to not pull you up when I started the show, but there you are. Okay. So I will get to more of the Astrid Tumenez, at least my thoughts on Astrid Tumenez, when I get to the opening statement. What else did I had several things in the intro I wanted to talk about. Oh. Candace tonight on her show was talking about, time traveling, and was Charlie a time traveler and all this. That's not farting. That's my chair that needs to be replaced. They have I am very concerned that people are taking lightly this topic of the demonic. Not Candace, not Charlie necessarily, but those in and around this discussion. And, when I hear a lot of people and they go to the palm reader, they go to some sort of medium or some sort of psychic, and they think it's all fun and games, or they play the Ouija board or whatever. Guys, if you're talking to somebody who can see through dimensional time, there's a high likelihood you're talking to a demon. So be very cautious. Yes, I'm talking about her Project Looking Glass and all of that. If such a project exists, and I don't know where I stand on that, but if such a project exists, it is not of God. This is not a technological advancement. This is a demonic advancement. I do want to have a story. I got a lot of feedback when I said I might dedicate a show in the near future to the demonic and my thoughts on the demonic and its role in Christianity, historical world religions. I think there is some really fascinating scripture about it, and I want to get into that at some point. I know in the Psalms, for example, 86 maybe. Oh gosh, that's going to challenge my ability. 82, 86, somewhere in there. Mid-range Psalms, mid-Psalms. Somewhere in the midst of all that, there is a psalm that talks about how God had given over certain kingdoms to other angels, and then they turned their back on him. I believe that. And I believe they're still running loose on this planet today. So we'll talk about that at some point in the future. That's not really a topic for tonight. I have a very packed show tonight, a very, very packed show tonight. And I want to get into it as I do ordinarily with an opening statement. The opening statement tonight, ladies and gentlemen, was rushed, not rushed. This is part 2 of where I was going to go the other night. And I couldn't go there the other night because it ended up being like 30-something minutes. So, what night was that? What's today? Wednesday? So that was Monday. Monday night, I was going to do a very long opening. I read it out loud, as I always do, and put a clock on it to see about how long it's going to be. And it was over 30 minutes. I thought, no one wants to hear that. So I cut it in half. Here's the second part of it. If you recall where we were talking about the intelligence community's depth and reach into technology. So we're going to expand that tonight into some other topics. So here we go with the opening statement. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence was founded in April of 2005. The ODNI, as it is called, was created in the 2004 Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act. Then UN Ambassador and career Foreign Service employee John Negroponte was the first Director of National Intelligence and thus the first head of the ODNI. He was in the fencing club with George H.W. Bush's brother and also Porter Goss. Wait a minute, I skipped. Apologize, I skipped a sentence. As a youth, he had gone to the prestigious Phillips Exeter Academy and then to Yale. He was in the fencing club with President George H.W. Bush's brother and also Porter Goss, who would go on to serve as the director of the CIA under Negroponte while he was the Director of National Intelligence. Clearly, the connections you make in college are important. At least they're important if you're headed into certain careers. It's in this light I want to take a quick glance at the Intelligence Community Centers for Academic Excellence, the ICCAE. The program sounds innocuous, like some benevolent scholarship program doling out grants to bright young minds in America's colleges. But if you're paying attention, you'll see it is set up much more like a Trojan horse, potentially for something far more sinister. The program was established in 2005. It was one of the first initiatives accomplished by John Negroponte and the nascent ODNI. The impetus for the program was the guise of fostering diversity and skills in the U.S. intelligence community. However, what this program is truly about, or at least what has happened in the 20 years or so since the program was founded in 2005, is embedding the deep state's tentacles into academia. Dig a little into the program, and I mean, just scratch ever so slightly beneath the surface, and you uncover a web of recruitment pipelines, ethical lapses, and unchecked power that raises suspicions to everyone with even a healthy dose of skepticism. I'll start with the basics. The Intelligence Community Centers for Academic Excellence hands out grants. These grants are in the millions and millions of dollars, and they go to universities to build programs in intelligence studies, national security, critical languages, and STEM fields. Initially, the program extended to only a few colleges and universities. As of 2025, over 80 institutions are involved, often in consortia that rope in minority-serving schools like historically Black colleges and universities and Hispanic-serving institutions. The goal is to create a diverse cadre of professionals ready to join the 18 agencies of the intelligence community, from the CIA to the NSA to all the defense intelligence agencies and so forth. Students get special courses. They get internships, study abroad opportunities. They get networking events that fast-track them into spy jobs. You earn ICCAE scholar status, and you're golden. It's a resume booster extraordinaire. But why the sudden push post 9/11? The Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act of 2004 that birthed this beast supposedly was put in place to remediate intelligence failures. We were sold the bill on the messaging that 9/11 happened because the FBI and the CIA didn't have an effective way to communicate. Perhaps, and I know this may come as a shock to some of you, perhaps we weren't told the truth about the size and scope of the plans the deep state had for the intelligence communities going forward. The result of the ICCAE program has been to militarize education in the name of endless war. Congressman Jane Harman spoke out in favor of the ICCAE program when it was founded. She sold the program as necessary to create spies who look like their targets. In other words, we need to funnel millions and millions of dollars into colleges and universities around the country in order to recruit women, minorities, and underrepresented groups to target women and non-whites around the world. But does that even make sense? Is there no other way to recruit a few women and minorities? We're not talking about hiring millions of people here. Is it necessary to set up intelligence programs within 80 colleges and universities to accomplish that very limited goal of recruiting a few people here and there? Perhaps they're not targeting ethnic minorities to infiltrate communities abroad at all. Perhaps they're recruiting men and women, majorities and minorities, to infiltrate communities domestically. Intelligence agencies love dividing and conquering. Remember COINTELPRO, for example. The FBI used that program to spy on and disrupt Black civil rights groups. Recall the CIA's role in overthrowing governments in Latin America and the Middle East. This is the DNA of the intelligence community. By funneling money into campuses, they're able to begin the process of tracking students, create loyalty, and turn idealistic students into tools, wittingly or unwittingly. Critics in academia have been sounding alarms about this program and other efforts in line with these goals, but they're often drowned out by the grant money. One scathing piece, political science Professor Samuel Freeman wrote, lays it bare in an article he wrote titled Ethical Failure, Intelligence Agencies and U.S. Universities. I had that pulled up somewhere, but I've lost it. U.S. intelligence agencies have a track record of unethical, immoral, and blatantly illegal conduct that makes any university partnership a moral hazard. From the 1950s onward, the CIA infiltrated campuses for recruitment and research, often without disclosure. In Project MK Ultra, the CIA dosed unwitting students with LSD in university labs to test mind control. In Operation Chaos, the intelligence community spied on anti-war protesters on college grounds. With the ICCAE, it's the exact same game plan, only slightly repackaged. This time, the deep state isn't doing their work in the dark. The colleges are setting up near permanent structural support, including professors and scholarships, to carry out the mission. Grants come with strings. They always do. Curricula gets shaped by the intelligence community. Deep state agents start giving guest lectures. Campus simulations start normalizing drone strikes, data mining, and privacy losses. Universities become extensions of the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, and military intelligence. This marriage erodes academic freedom. Professors who push back risk funding cuts, getting fired, or worse, being blacklisted for life and unable to find work. A report from the U.S. Government Accountability Office from 2019 exposes a portion of the program's rot. The Defense Intelligence Agency, for example, botched planning and oversight so badly it's laughable or terrifying, depending on whether you support or fear the program. The report found no clear goals, no measurable targets. It found unreliable data from schools on student outcomes. It found inconsistent participation from intelligence communities. It couldn't track $69 million in grants or how the money was used, and it couldn't track whether programs sustained after using funds to establish the programs. Many colleges suspended activities after grants were set to expire, yet the money kept flowing. So why this sloppiness? I think it's because real oversight might reveal the true agenda. It's not about building diversity. It's not about protecting America. It's about creating a shadow network of indoctrinated operatives on college campuses that take their shadow credentials and loyalty to the intelligence community with them when they leave. This was not a short-term fix in the wake of 9/11. This is a long-term play aimed at creating a hidden loyalty class throughout America and beyond. It's an intel op. The ICCAE program fits nicely in today's tracking state and social credit score framework. Commissioning security-sensitive research while monitoring campuses for threats becomes the norm. You ever wonder why universities host classified projects or why student data flows to the intelligence communities? Programs like this normalize the idea that intelligence work is a noble career, glossing over decades of intelligence community atrocities. Whistleblowers like Edward Snowden and Bradley Manning are the exceptions, not the rule. Most operatives get sucked in young through programs like the ICCAE, and others, if they don't end up pursuing a career in intelligence, remain loyal to the deep state and the intelligence industrial complex. So what's the end game? Why would you construct a program like this at all? In a single word, control. In an era of artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, and global unrest, the intelligence needs not only an army of fresh recruits versed in emerging technology and the latest cultural trends, they also need an army of compliant allies willing to amplify messages and assist however and whenever needed. The ICCAE programs are prepping for perpetual conflict. They're embedding agents in tech firms, NGOs, and foreign governments. And with the ODNI in charge, the lack of transparency in the program is not a bug, it's a feature. The GAO urged fixes, like better metrics and evaluations, but so far, no improvements have been identified publicly and no means of measuring them, even if they had been. The program's expansion to over 80 schools suggests it's thriving in the shadows. Ultimately, ICCAE blurs lines between learning and loyalty oaths, turning campuses into recruitment fairs for the surveillance state. Students looking to take advantage of the program need to ask whose interest they're serving. Who is more secure as a result of the program? Is it the public, who've been battered by endless wars and privacy erosions, or is it the intelligence community, the military-industrial complex, the deep state? They're thriving and more powerful than ever. I raised this issue in the face of what we know happened to Charlie Kirk. These are undisputed facts. Charlie Kirk was taken down on a campus infested with intelligence professionals. It had a program that served as an intelligence community pipeline. The man charged with the crime of taking Charlie Kirk's life went to a different college, and only for one semester, but it too was a campus infested with intelligence professionals. It too had a program that served as an intelligence community pipeline. And this isn't why, or at least it shouldn't be why, we send our kids to college. We shouldn't be providing a pipeline of fresh meat for the meat grinder. I mentioned earlier in the intro that UVU President Astrid Tumenez is resigning. I intended to cover her in more detail in an opening statement later down the road, but let me say this in light of her resignation announcement today. I don't know if Astrid Tumenez is a deep state plant or an intelligence asset or what she is, but her career and profile are strikingly aligned with that of a CIA or intelligence asset. It might be a circumstantial case, but her life and career have compelling connections to U.S. foreign policy, to conflict zones, to elite networks. She was born in the Philippine slums. She had a very rapid ascent out of poverty. She used scholarships from Catholic nuns and LDS missionaries. She attended elite educational institutions, particularly for someone from a Philippine slum. She went to undergrad at BYU, where she studied international relations and Russian literature. She got a master's at Harvard in Soviet studies and a PhD from MIT in political science. These are not average schools. These Cold War era fields in Russian and Soviet affairs were prime recruiting grounds for the CIA and the greater intelligence community, especially for someone like Astrid Tumenez, who was fluent in 6 languages, including Russian. Her profile was ideal for espionage or diplomacy. Her career trajectory deepened suspicion. She was a senior consultant at the U.S. Institute of Peace, which is a congressionally funded entity often intertwined with the State Department and intelligence operations. While there, she facilitated secret peace talks between the Philippine government and a Muslim separatist group called the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, which, I'll be honest, is hilariously referred to as MILF, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. I can't talk. I got to go talk to MILF. That wasn't in the script. Sorry. The U.S. Institute of Peace's role in soft power interventions mirrors CIA-backed conflict resolution. Her stint as the director of research for alternative investments at AIG Global echoes historical CIA ties. AIG's founder, for example, Cornelius Vanderstar, was an OSS operative. The OSS was the CIA before it was renamed during the early part of the Cold War. AIG Global has been accused of engaging in covert ops around the world. Her Microsoft role in Southeast Asia involved government relations in a region rife with U.S. intelligence interests. She is a lifetime member and former adjunct fellow of the Council of Foreign Relations. The CFR is roundly considered a deep state hub. In her role there, Tumenez undoubtedly rubs shoulders with intelligence figures. There's no smoking gun tying her to being an intelligence asset, but her globe-trotting path from poverty to power screams intelligence asset cultivation. Consider her strategic education development, her role in leading sensitive negotiations, and her access in private and public life. In intelligence parlance, she's a perfect fit. So I want to look tonight at what appears, at least to me, to be a major reason why Charlie Kirk is no longer with us. That has nothing to do with the gay man charged with taking his life or the trans furry person with whom that man shared a residence. It has everything to do with Charlie Kirk's political views, particularly on Iran. The war drums are sounding. The shofars are being blown, quite literally, at Mar-a-Lago. I want to look back at Charlie Kirk's appearance on a popular podcast shortly after the Israel-Gaza conflict began on October 2023. It's almost 2 years before he passed away. His very strong words and firm grasp of the historical significance of potential conflict with Iran showed a depth and wisdom that would have been incredibly compelling now as the troops appear to be gathering for what might be imminent conflict with Iran. I also want to look at the Tyler Robinson defense filing in response to the state's opposition motion to disqualify the Utah County Attorney's Office. We looked last week, I believe, at the state's filing, and I expressed hope and maybe a bit of despair at the thought of Robinson's team that they might be conceding facts that should be challenged. Tonight, we'll look at Robinson's response and see how it stacks up to my concerns. But first, Iran, formerly Persia. And guys, you're going to have to forgive me. We're going to get a little cap and gown here before we start having a little fun. I know. People don't like well, maybe you do. People like to have fun. You tune in because you enjoy being entertained. We will be entertained. But I want to back up. Oh, so that was the opening statement. If that was your first opening statement, go back and watch the other 45. You'll see a development as we go on. You'll see where we're headed. Some of you might be able to put it together as we go. But I want to go here because we have to have some context. This is a news story we had back during the first Trump administration, 2019. This was June of 2019. Iran allegedly shot down a drone, a U.S. Air Force drone. Obviously, because it's a drone, there were no people on board. But Trump was urged to strike Iran. And he was 10 minutes away from the strike happening. And he said he called it off. And I want to focus on why he called it off, because I want to compare Trump 1 and Trump 2 here. He said he called off the Thursday strike in Iran after he was told 150 very likely would be killed. Here's his quote. He said this in a series of tweets. I have the tweets, but I may not pull them up. We were cocked and loaded to retaliate last night on 3 different sites when I asked how many will die. Upon hearing the projected death toll, Trump said he decided the strike was not proportionate to shooting down an unmanned drone. He put a halt to the operation 10 minutes before the strike was set to begin. This is a very different Donald Trump than we have today. I do not anticipate the strike on Iran will be called off this time, and I think a lot more than 10 people will die, or 150 people will die. I think more than 150 people already have died in the operations over in Iran. But I want to take a little run through the history of how we got here. And I want to do it in light of a quote, just a short clip. I mean, it's just a few minutes of Charlie Kirk on the PBD podcast. I've seen a lot of people playing Charlie Kirk on the Charlie Kirk podcast talking about Iran in the last few days. I haven't seen a lot of people playing Charlie Kirk on the PBD podcast the last couple of days. If there are people playing it, I haven't watched it. But he has a wisdom to his discussion. He has I don't even know what the right word is. It's just a true depth of understanding. His grasp of history on the fly, his grasp of being able to put it all together and organize a series of thoughts is remarkable. But I want to back way up for just a second. Because the Iran we have today is not the Iran that your great-grandparents encountered. Because prior to 1921, prior to the 1921 Persian coup, which put the Pahlavi dynasty in, this is the Shah's family. This is who I think they're trying to reinstall, by the way. Prior to that, Persia was under a different dynasty. And this was very early on. This was over 100 years ago. This was very early on in the oil development. And you'll find out that almost all of the problems going on in Iran right now can be traced back to Iran's control of a tremendous geographical advantage and a tremendous quantity of oil. Very early on, it was realized, wait a minute, shortly after World War I, everybody looked at Iran and said, they're in a really nice spot. They are in a really nice spot. Actually, it wasn't called Iran at the time. We'll talk about when they changed that in a minute. It was Persia. Everybody looked at the Persian empire, the Persian kingdom, the Persian whatever you want to call it. And they thought, man, they are in a really nice spot. But they were not very efficient. Their people were kind of struggling, even though they had this geographic advantage and they had this tremendous quantity of oil beneath their feet. And the industrial world was realizing at the time, hey, this oil is pretty valuable. And so the Brits got involved and said, we need to put our own person in there. And that's how the Shah's family came to be. That's how the Shah's family came to be. They had a coup. The Brits helped lead a coup. And they installed a guy named Reza Khan. Lost his name here. Yeah, Reza Khan. And you end up with this Pahlavi dynasty. This Pahlavi dynasty stays in power from 1921 to 1979. And it consists really of only two people that entire time. You get the first guy, Reza Shah. Shah just means king in Persian. And Reza Shah goes out there and they're really moving and rocking and rolling. Things are going well. The oil's coming out of the ground. He's got some alliances and he's really trying to play like the Soviet Union and the Brits off of each other. And it's working for a while. It really is working for a while. And you've got this new king of Iran. He comes in here. He's only been there a few years, but he's doing a nice job of diplomacy. He's got the Soviets on his side. He's got the Brits on his side. And he's cutting deals back and forth. Well, about the time World War I starts, he runs into a bit of a problem. That problem's pretty obvious if you know your history very well. I don't think anybody saw an alliance coming between the Soviet Union and the Brits, but that's what happened in World War II. World War II comes along, and all of a sudden, the guys he's been playing off of each other are on the same team. And it doesn't work out well for them. They invade and they overthrow. And they install as a peace offering, look, we don't like you. We're not going to have you. You're not being very polite with us. But your son is watching. He's been watching carefully, and we're going to put him in charge. And if he plays ball, we'll continue to allow him to be around. And so he does. They put him in there. The 1941 or 2, they put the Shah's son in there. And he hangs out for quite a while. He hangs on till 1979. His name's Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. There's this brief hiccup in the middle, and we'll get to that because it's very important, because this is the fact Charlie Kirk keys in on in the clip I'm going to play in a moment. But other than the little hiccup where they tried a little democratic reform in the 1950s, the Shah, Mohammad Reza, does a pretty good job. And he establishes this 25-year plan. And this 25-year plan goes from 1954 to 1979. And what it does is it divides the income of the oil industry in Iran between Iran and 5 other parties. And because they have this 25-year contract, everybody's kind of getting along. Well, that contract was set to expire in 1979. Would you guess what year the Shah was overthrown? Ah, yes, ladies and gentlemen, you're very smart. 1979. So the Shah gets overthrown in 1979. But what you'll find is there's Western intervention, and this is the theme here. There's Western intervention that causes the first coup d'etat in 1921 because they want access to the oil. And then the access to the oil isn't quite as good of an access as they wanted to. So in 1941, 20 years later, they say, we're done with you. We're going to try your son. And that works for a few years. And in the early 1950s, Iran says, you know what we're going to do? We need to nationalize the oil industry. And we need to kick everybody else out. We're going to try democracy for a while. We're doing this for Iran's benefit. Well, that didn't last very long. The outsiders got back involved. They came back in. They overthrew the democratic thing and put it back in the king's hands. And that's when he cut the deal, 1954, the 25-year deal. But under the Shah, from 1954 in particular to 1979, something amazing happened. Iran went from sort of this, I don't want to say backwards, twisted kitty litter box, but it was not a flourishing high GDP economy when he took over. By the time the 1970s, particularly the late 1970s rolled around, Iran was pretty fancy. They were on the verge of becoming a superpower. That is not an overstatement. They were on the verge of becoming a superpower. For those that don't know, it's basically impossible to invade Iran. You can hit them from the air, but putting boots on the ground is pretty hard. I'll show you why. Let me show you something. This is something most people don't know because, frankly, most Americans can't pick Iran out of a map. But I'm going to show you something interesting here. I hadn't planned to do this, right? I had it pulled up. I want you to look at this geography. I want you to look at Iran with me from Google Earth. This is Iran here in the middle. You see this flat brown stuff? This is actually an interesting geographical feature as well. This is probably the result of a massive deluge. I'm going to get weird with you here for a few minutes. This is probably the result of a massive deluge that just eroded this entire area when the seas spilled into this land. But that's neither here nor there. But look at Iran. See how this is like flat in Saudi Arabia? It's like flat and brown. Notice Iran is not flat and brown. You know what all this stuff is? These are mountains. My question to you is, ladies and gentlemen, how do you get into Iran? You can land on the sea, but guess what you got to do? You got to go over mountains. You see all these mountains? This is real mountainous terrain. Now you want to come in from Iraq, right? Mountains. You got to look at these. These are massive facilities. This would be like going over the Rockies. You want to come in from Turkey? Guess what you got to do? Mountains all the way around. You want to come in from the Mediterranean up here or the whatever sea this is? Now this is where I need Ian. The Caspian Sea. Ian's a geographical wizard. You want to come in from the Caspian Sea? You got a nice little flat land here. And then what? Guess what? Mountains. You see that? Where are you going to roll your tanks into Tehran? How are you going to get them there? How are you going to get the boots on the ground? You know, when we invaded Iraq, let me show you this. When we invaded Iraq, we were able to land here and just drive all the way in as far as we needed to go. Look how flat that is. That is not the case over here. It is mountainous terrain. They have a tremendous geographic advantage when it comes to being invaded. It's going to be difficult. And difficult means bloody. Difficult means expensive. Difficult means high man hours. Again, you can attack from the skies. If you can control the skies, maybe you can bomb everything. But how do you put the boots on the ground necessary to take Iran? How many people have done it in history? I mentioned Iran instead of Persia. I can't remember what year it was. It was the mid-20th century. They come along and they say, you know what? We're changing the name of this place. We've been Persians forever. We're going to be Iran now. And the root word was from the word Aryan. I'm not saying they're Nazis, but that's where the root word of Iran, that is what Iran means. It is Aryan. So you have the Indians, the actual Indians, not like the Native Americans, like people from India. And then you have Iranians. And these people are where the word Aryan comes from. So, but I just look at this geography and I keep looking around saying, you know, if you come in from the Caspian Sea, maybe you can just have to climb a few mountains to get to Tehran, but there's a whole lot of the rest of the country you're going to have to hold. I just don't know how you get there. Who's the last person to take Persia? I mean, Alexander the Great tried, and he died. He took over the whole known world. And he died. Anyway, I didn't intend to do that little bit of a detour. I do want to pull up this clip here, though. I want to pull up this clip of Charlie Kirk on the PBD podcast. This was back on, what date was this? October 12th, 2023. So this was 5 days after the famed October 7th event. So 5 days later, he goes on the PBD podcast. I think I played a clip of this podcast. But this one is particularly relevant when it comes to Iran. And look, I'm not going to sit here stupidly watching the screen while you guys watch the side of my head. Not happening tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This is a high IQ outfit. I've been reading my logic book. It's helping me. It's helping me. All right. Yes, someone said I thought the word came from India. Yes, the Proto-Indo-Europeans, the PIEs, the PIEs. Those are the Iranians. The Proto-Indo-Europeans. But that's where the root word in Iran comes from. Now, let me play this real quickly. I want you guys to hear what he has to say. This is incredibly important, and I believe it's why he's dead. Let me say that real quickly. And look you right in the camera and tell you that before I play this. I think this is why he's dead. I don't think it had to do with Gaza. I don't think it had to do with transferees. I think it had to do with either this very podcast, these very few minutes I'm about to play. Hold on, hold on. What is this coming from? Has there been a strike somewhere? All right. I'll pay attention to that while this is playing, but I want you to hear what he has to say here. Incredibly important. Tune in. Pay attention. This is important. I don't know if you could hear it, but it was on mute, so I couldn't hear it. So now let me start over. Well, I'll just play it from here. Reason why. You are kidding me. You are absolutely kidding me. It's because I pulled it down. Oh my gosh. If I go into retirement, this is why. Oh my gosh. It's humiliating at this point. I even pulled it up and said we weren't going to do this tonight. I'm clipping that out when it goes on YouTube. I'm pulling it out. I don't want to look like that. I don't want people to think that's who I am. Golly. All right. It's up. I see it's up. My face is red. I'm embarrassed to be alive right now.
That we, the American government, are the reason why Iran is radical. We did this. They had a democratically elected leader that we did not like. I believe his name was Mossadegh.
Mossad.
Yeah, right?
Mossadegh.
Yeah, Mossadegh. Thank you. And we didn't like him because he wanted to nationalize the oil. Specifically, the Brits didn't like it.
50s. This is
what year was this, PBD?
Yeah,
I got you. This is before the show.
Yes, he was very popular.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And look right there. Even in Wikipedia, 1953 Iranian coup d'etat aided by intelligence agencies of the UK and United States.
Weird. Got it.
Okay. So then we put the Shah back in, if my memory serves me correctly, who was sick and unpopular, meaning he was actually suffering. Physically sick.
Yeah.
And we paved the way for the most radical elements of Islam from a country that, Patrick, you know it better than I do. The Persian people are the most entrepreneurial. They're some of the smartest people that have really been living under radical Islamic captivity for many decades. Why am I bringing this up? Sometimes your intervention can make things far, far worse.
All right. I'm not pulling it down because I don't want to risk that happening again. All right. So you're going to have to watch Little Baron. Okay. Big Charlie, Little Baron. Because I'm not going to risk doing that again tonight. It's a one time only tonight. But he started out by saying, hey, you know why they don't like us? Because we have screwed up their country time and time again for the last 100 years. It is our fault. Now, this isn't your humble host talking. This isn't Baron Coleman. Don't come at me and say, what are you bad-mouthing the United States for? Hey, I'm not. Charlie is. But he's not even really bad-mouthing the United States. You know what he's doing? He's pointing out reality. We caused the problem. Do you know why they chant death to America? Because of what we've done over there since 1921. That's what he's saying. He actually says it more specifically here in a little bit. Does that give them an excuse to cause terrorism? Does it give them an excuse to commit crimes? Does it give them an excuse to take life? No, of course not. But what it does is it points out that a continued American intervention may not be the best policy going forward. And that's the point he's about to make. And that is why he's not breathing oxygen.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes intervention is moral and necessary. Our intervention in World War II in Europe was moral and necessary. So what to do? Well, I think Joe Biden should definitely not give them $6 billion. I think that's a good start. I think that sanctions is probably appropriate. But I also think that we have to be really clear that Iran is an enemy of the United States, but it pales in comparison to the immediate and the pernicious and the existential threat that the Chinese Communist Party poses to America. And I don't want to see us get into the Lindsey Graham dream world that Iran is somehow murdering Americans. They are financing terror. They're chanting death to America. But China right now is actively creating fentanyl that comes into our country that kills over 100,000 people. Not everyone for fentanyl, but drug overdoses.
Majority, yeah.
Yes, over a majority of the 100,000 is fentanyl. What I'm getting at is I, as a millennial turning 30, know nothing but Middle Eastern no-win war quagmires.
I know nothing but Middle Eastern no-win war quagmires. And that is the message he took to President Trump in June of this year, when President Trump was considering a strike on nuclear facilities in Iran. And this is the philosophical framework he was operating under. And that was going to be a real problem going forward. That was going to be a real problem going forward. Someone said, don't forget us grumblers over here. I'm not forgetting you guys. I got you pulled up right here. I can see you as I can see Charlie. You're on the same, well, you're on adjacent screens. That was going to be a real problem going forward because you know what would have happened right now? You know what would be happening tonight as people are placing massive bets on gambling outfits that the United States will strike Iran tonight or strike Iran tomorrow. You know what would be happening as Verizon remains on SOS coverage because I can't use my cell phone because there's been some kind of an outage. Charlie Kirk would be either on the phone with the President of the United States or on his fancy Gulfstream 5 flying to Washington, D.C. or Mar-a-Lago or Bedminster, wherever the Donald happens to be. I'm seeing people say they can't hear. Can you guys not hear? Oh, you might be behind a little bit. Sorry. He would be on his way there saying, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. Well, how do I know that? Because he said that on a limited strike on a single facility. What they're talking about now is actual massive regime change. They're talking about now striking the leadership. They're talking now about killing the Islamic Republic heads. That's what they're talking about now. This is a totally different, amplified war than what we got back then. And if you remember, and again, I'm not pulling myself down, I'm not making myself big and getting rid of Charlie, because I'm not going to run the risk of starting the next set of this clip and you guys not hearing it. I'm not doing it tonight. I'm not doing it again tonight. I'm not doing it again. I've already done it once. We warned you guys this was coming. When everybody last time, they were all in favor, like 95% of the Republican Party, like 80% of the Democrats, all in favor of this limited strike on Iran's nuclear facilities. And you had people like me saying, I don't know about this. You had people like Charlie Kirk saying, please don't do this, Mr. President. And everybody was concerned, not because we were worried that a limited strike on Iran's nuclear facilities would fail or would cause some kind of massive backlash, but because we worried that that wasn't the sum total of where we were headed. And you know what? We're right. Seems like we're right. And after it was over, everybody was like, see, I told you it was going to be a very limited strike. Operation Midnight Hammer, not Josh Hammer, Operation Midnight Hammer. They're just going to fly over there, 36-hour mission, fly back home. Everybody's going to high-five each other like we just got off of a mission on Top Gun. And there were some of us, a few of us, including Charlie Kirk, in the background saying, I don't like the looks of this. I don't like where this is headed. This doesn't make sense to me. I want to finish this clip, and I do have a little more of this I want to play. There's a few more minutes of this, and it is unbelievably telling. Everybody's sitting around saying, why is Charlie Kirk dead? Why is Charlie Kirk dead? I think we're watching it. I genuinely believe we're watching it. I don't know that it's substantially more complicated than these types of positions he's articulating here.
Right?
Yep.
And I am cynical. And I think it's my moral responsibility and my public role as a commentator to slow down the chatter anytime we're talking about accelerating us closer to another conflict in the Middle East.
It's my role as a public commentator to slow down the chatter anytime we're talking about another war in the Middle East. Mr. Kirk, that's going to create real problems for your ability to continue to breathe oxygen and eat food. Mr. Kirk, that's going to cause real problems if you intend for your heart to continue pumping blood around your vascular system. Mr. Kirk, if you intend to stand, sit, walk, you might not want to have that position. But as long as you do, you're going to have real problems on your hands. Now, notice they didn't take him out that day. That was nearly 2 years ago. He was just taken out 4 months ago. But notice when the planning seemed to really get going. The planning really started to get going about the time it became really important to not have a guy like Charlie Kirk out there saying, I don't think we should go to war in Iran. I don't think we should go to war in Iran. That's when it became a real problem. That's when the planning started in earnest to take him out. We'll do, he can go to the White House and he can say, Mr. Trump, please don't strike Iran. And we'll do a limited strike on Iran. But at that point, his days are numbered. At that point, he's a dead man walking. That's why I keep saying time and time again, he was not walking out of Utah Valley University. He was never going to leave Orem University. I renew my challenge to his security team. Show me evidence you guys plan to guard him after September 10th. I would like to see flight records. Did you have flights booked to Colorado? Did you have flights booked to Nashville, Tennessee, or wherever that was in Tennessee? Did you have flights booked back to Utah for Utah State University? Had you talked to the police chiefs? Had you talked to the local officials about setting up a facility for him to speak in and making sure it's secure? If not, I think thoughts like he's sharing with us here are a good reason why that hadn't happened.
Because we did it in Iraq. I think it was a mistake. We spent trillions of dollars and we lost precious American lives, led to ISIS. And you want the thought crime? Honestly, Saddam Hussein kept a lot of the terrorists in check.
Yep, they were scared of him.
He was a bad guy, but he wasn't the worst guy.
Saddam Hussein. Now he's pro-Saddam. I got to bring back the George H.W. Bush in pronunciation of Saddam. He's pro-Saddam. He's saying we probably shouldn't have done this in Iraq. Look at the problem you've had since 2003 in Iraq. You want that same problem next door?
And I think the same thing in Afghanistan. So what do? I think first we have to calm down the neoconservatives that are bloodthirsty and want war more than they want what's best for America.
How do you think that went over in Tel Aviv? How do you think that went over in Washington, D.C.? How do you think that went over in London? How do you think that went over in Canberra? How do you think that went over in Riyadh? These are not people who want to be called bloodthirsty neoconservatives. They have a very specific desire, all of them. It's to get rid of Iran's leadership and take over the country. Every one of them. And then you have Charlie Kirk. I think he was 29 years old in this video. What do you think they thought of him? Everybody, after he passed, everybody wanted to, this happens anytime anybody passes. Oh, he was my best friend. Oh, I just loved him. How do you think President Trump really felt at 78 years old, 79 years old, having Charlie Kirk sit in the Oval Office and chastise him about a limited strike on Iran's nuclear capability? Do you think Donald Trump walked out of the Oval Office and said, I don't agree with that, Mr. Kirk, but he sure is a sharp young man. I have a lot of respect for him, and I sure am thankful he felt like he could come to the Oval Office and disagree with me on foreign policy. How do you think that was received by foreign leaders around the world? How do you think Mr. Netanyahu felt about him? Do you think Mr. Netanyahu said, boy, that Charlie Kirk, he sure is doing a good job of organizing Christians on university campuses all over America. Now we'll just have to agree to disagree when it comes to foreign policy in Tehran. But he sure is a nice young man full of hope and promise. You think that's how that conversation went? After Donald Trump shared with him, after Charlie Kirk supporters shared with him that Charlie Kirk had gone to the Oval Office trying to get the Netanyahu strike on Iran canceled? Do you think that's how that went? He just called these guys bloodthirsty neoconservatives.
Yeah, you know what is this is actually, I think it's going to be a filter. And by the way, I don't know if this video is recent or we shared it the other day, or it's right after they killed Qassem Soleimani. I don't know exactly the date of this video, so just kind of verify when this video was. What does it say right there? This video was from 3 years ago. Okay, yeah, this is when we killed Qassem.
Yeah, but their
But the attitude hasn't changed.
No,
right?
no,
it's
not at all.
it's not like
By the
their
way,
opinions have changed dramatically.
On the Shah thing you talk about with Mossadegh. Mossadegh was a guy that came in who was the modern day Bernie Sanders.
Who want to nationalize everything.
He wanted to nationalize everything. He wanted to, nationalize everything. And then the Shah comes in. The Shah
comes back,
modernizes the whole thing. Education improves. Women finally have no longer, age of marriage for girls are no longer 8 years old or 13 years old. He raised it to, I think, whatever it was, 15 years old. And then women can actually go become lawyers and go to school. Education for women changed. Then what happened in the Middle East when Iran was ran by him, Reza Pahlavi, the Shah, is conflict in the Middle East was less, okay? Because now it was Iran who had a good relationship with U.S. for the most part, except when there was Democratic presidents, there was issues. But for the most part, they had a good relation with U.S. And he had his 25-year contract. He wrote if you can go to 1954 Iran oil deal, it was in 1954. The deal was coming up till 1979. That's what it is.
Or something?
So it's called the Consortium Agreement of 1954. This was a deal they did.
Yeah, British Petroleum.
Yeah,
right.
This was a deal they did. That was a 25-year deal. This is what's so interesting about it. Watch this.
He doesn't really point this out, but look at the middle paragraph here. A year after the overthrow of Mossadegh by the United States and the UK in the 53 Iranian coup d'etat, now we get a finalized 25-year oil deal the next year. That's always been the play. And again, can you imagine being a citizen of one of these countries and you're sitting on basically trillions of dollars of wealth under your feet? And you get these outside influencers that come in and say, we demand a huge percentage of it, or we're going to kill you, or we're going to take over your country. I mean, that's, and whether or not you feel like that's what's happening, I don't know, or whether or not you feel like it's justified, that Americans should be able to do that. I've heard that argument here recently. It's a little weird, frankly. No matter your thoughts on it, put yourself in the shoes of the average Iranian person and said, what, we're sitting on trillions of dollars in oil and we're broke. And all these other people, the Brits, the Americans, the Russians, everybody else is coming in and the French, they're dividing up our oil wealth. Why? I mean, is it right for these countries to nationalize the oil industries? Well, probably not. I mean, I'm not a big nationalization fan. I don't like nationalizing any industry. Maybe the U.S. mail, we could, we basically nationalized it at our founding, but we've kind of gotten away from it here lately, and I'm not sure it's improved. But it's constitutionally mandated to be a nationalized industry. If you go read your Constitution, I know people that know that's out of date. I know that's old fogey. But if you actually read the Constitution, there are only two industries they say we should nationalize: the military and the mail. So no, I'm not a big fan of nationalizing, but what I'm saying is you have to put yourself in the shoes of these other people. Why is the Royal Dutch Shell Company? Why is the French company CFP? Why is British Petroleum? Why are the American companies? Why are they getting all the cuts of our industrial mineral wealth? And it's not as if they said, well, geez, you guys are so efficient. You guys should help us extract it out of the ground. We'll end up with... No, they said, if you don't give it to us, we will overthrow you. We've overthrown you now twice in 30 years, and we'll do it again. Or 3 times in 30 years. 1921, 1941, and 1953. 3 times. In 31, 33 years, something like that, the international community comes into Iran and overthrows their government. And all 3 times, it was about exfiltrating the wealth from the Iranian people over to foreign agencies. I mean, again, I'm not taking up for the Iranians. I'm not suggesting everybody there's a good person. What I'm saying is we have to start to consider, and this is what I think Charlie Kirk was doing. We have to start to consider maybe there's a reason people feel this way. I feel like I've got cover because all I'm doing is quoting Charlie here. Not that Charlie's Jesus, but Charlie had strong opinions on this issue. He was so much smarter than the average 29-year-old back in 2023, sitting on a podcast pulling history facts out of his head, explaining, hey, are you sure we should go over there and try to overthrow these people?
1950 or so, the provided Western oil companies with 50% ownership of Iranian oil production after its ratification in 1954, expiring what year? 1979. So the PM, I think the leaders of UK, US, I want to say France and one other country met in South or Central America to talk about how to prevent this 25-year contract from coming up, because the Shah was going to go away from the 50% deal.
That's right.
And he was going to rule the world. He was going to become so powerful. 1979 is when it expires. Guess when the Shah expired?
Right,
1979. Maybe a little bit of a strange timing on what they did with this year. And then comes Khomeini, comes Hezbollah, comes the 3,000 political prisoners, because Jimmy Carter's talking about human rights. They're freed. A lot of them ended up becoming the ISIS, the Hezbollahs, the Two-Day Party, the communists who ended up doing 9/11. So, and Carter was pushing this with them. The similar thing that he did with Cuba as well. I was like, hey, you need to free. It's not fair for what you're doing with your people, human rights. He says, no problem. Here's 125,000 people I'm releasing from Cuba to U.S. And who did he release? Political.
All those guys.
I'm just a political refugee. I'm a political prisoner, right? Is what I am.
Scarface.
And boom, unemployment in Miami goes up to 50%. But I understand what you're saying with the Iran situation and what's going to happen there.
Mm-hmm.
So let me bring you back to a different thing. If you got one last thought about this, I want to transition.
I don't want to just, the Iran thing is so fascinating to me, because I think they are the tip of the spear of what's going on in the Middle East. And then who are they funded by? China. What was the amount of money that they gave them? $400 billion?
450 million.
So here's my question to you.
400 billion, 25 years.
Okay. Just to kind of emphasize this. If you're a consultant or the national security advisor to whether it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden or whoever it is, you, PBD, how do you deal with Iran? Do you pull out of the nuclear deal entirely like Trump did? Do you get back into the nuclear deal? Do you give them any money whatsoever? The $6 billion for the hostages? How do you deal with Iran?
What do you do?
Yeah, I think Trump had it right, which, remember, there was clamoring for Trump to go to war against Iran and strike, and he resisted that. At the same time, he was tough and very firm, where he, canceled the Iran deal, went after Soleimani. But you have to have your priorities right. What is best for America, right? War with Iran is not what is best for America. There's some other facts about Iran that are important, though. I think the Iran situation solves itself over a period of time. I believe 50% of their population is under the age of 35. We can fact check it. They have one of the youngest populations on the planet. And we could fact check it. It might not be that extreme. But
why do you think they have one of the youngest populations on the planet? I looked this up after he said this as I was prepping for the show. Do you know largely why they have such a young population? They haven't had a major war in the area. Think of all the other countries around them that have what should be demographically similar populations. They've been just absolutely decimated. Basically all of North Africa, just decimated. Most of the Middle East, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Lebanon. Iran, because of their natural geographic advantage, has not had much conflict to deal with. And so they've ended up with this, what is historically probably an average age population. Countries should have young populations. They should have massive populations under the age of 30.
You have a very, very radical government. The people of Iran are incredibly talented. They're entrepreneurial. They're industrious. And I'm actually more bullish on the future of Iran if you can liberate them from the captivity that they're under.
You do that is my point.
Well,
we saw what happened last year with the girls.
That's what's one of the youngest populations.
We saw what happened when a girl took off her job. She was killed, beaten. The women have no rights there.
The answer is it shouldn't be a top priority of the American government, because we have so many problems here to execute a CIA coup d'etat in another country. You have to put sanctions on. You have to put them in check. You have to try to, in my personal opinion, allow Israel to seek justice. At the same time, you cannot allow this to turn into a regional broader war. You know why? Because the adult America is going to have to come clean it up. That's why. If we just kind of say, oh, it doesn't, this thing turns into a regional conflict, we're going to have more troops on the ground, and we're going to have to go clean up this mess, as Trump calls it, in the region of sand and death, while our own country is disintegrating and collapsing.
That's it. That's the whole clip. It was 6 total minutes, and I'm sorry I kept having interrupted to elucidate my thoughts. But guys, listen to the man. He died for this position. He literally died for this position. This is why he's not with us. I believe that. Yes, it's unfortunate that a woman was killed because she took off her hijab. Now, I just saw some footage, a lot of footage. I sat there and watched like an hour-long rolling clip of people in malls and bazaars and walking down the street in Iran in different cities. And I didn't see any. I mean, I saw a lot of women without hijab. So I don't know why this young woman was killed. I have such a hard time believing all the disinformation that comes out of the mainstream media. When I hear numbers like, 20,000 protesters have been killed, I don't believe you. Oh, a woman was killed because she took off her hijab. I don't believe you. I don't believe you anymore. You have lost the right for me to believe you. Because I believe that's why he's dead. Because he said, yes, it's unfortunate. They would be wonderful. And demographics are on their side. And maybe they just need a little more time. And the younger people will become older people. And they'll have a different thought. And the older generation will die off. The boomers will die off over there in Iran. And as they die off, the younger people will want liberty. Then they'll have an American Revolution style 1776 or a French Revolution style 1789. But we've tried to liberate them 4 different times now. 1921, 1953, 1979, and we're going to do it again? How's it worked out the last 3 times? That interview was from October 12, 2023. October 12, 2023. October 12, 2023. Oh, I just closed something out I wanted to play. Here we go. I'll pull it back up. You have got to see the exuberance on these warmongers' faces as they lust over American, Iranian blood being spilled on the streets. Look at Lindsey Graham. Donald Trump is being asked about a potential war with Iran. This was a few days ago. I want you to watch bloodthirsty neocon Lindsey Graham having a wargasm.
One of the things that is happening, I think you see it all the time, Howard, you've seen it, that Cuba is ready to fall. Yes. Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba literally is ready to fall. And you have a lot of great Cuban Americans that are going to be very happy about this.
Marco Rubio.
Guys, why is this the response of American senators to death and suffering in other countries? You want to see, just for an example here, you want to see just a stroll through Lindsey Graham's bloodthirsty X feed? It's pretty remarkable. This is Lindsey Graham. Let me make it bigger here for you. This is Lindsey Graham talking about going to war in Iran. To the Iranian people, your long nightmare is soon coming to a close. What day was this? January 10th? It's not that soon because it's January 14th and it's not closed yet. Your bravery and determination to end your oppression has been noticed by POTUS and all who love freedom. Oh, it's always about freedom. It's always about freedom before we kill 500,000 or 1 million people. Always about freedom. Has nothing to do with oil. Has nothing to do with the objectives of foreign, neocons. Has nothing to do with that. When President Trump says make Iran great again, it means the protesters in Iran must prevail over the Ayatollah. This is the clearest signal yet that he understands Iran will never be great with the Ayatollah and henchmen in charge. To all who are sacrificing in Iran, God bless, help is on the way. I haven't done this in a while, but let me scroll through here and look at bloodthirsty Lindsey Graham. This is 2 hours ago with who they're going to try to install as the new head of Iran, Pahlavi, the exiled crown prince of Iran. You're not the crown prince when your dad is not the king. But that's the exiled crown prince. Help is on the way. They're trying to pressure Trump into not being able to back out because he'll look like a coward. He'll look like he's not following through on his word. Just over and over and over. All presidents aren't created equal. Donald Trump is not Obama. He is Reagan plus beware. People often ask me what we should do next when it comes to murderous religious Nazi regime in Iran. It's pretty simple. Stand by the protester. I mean, just egging on war every time he turns around. Can you imagine what the compromise looks like? Can you imagine what Lindsey Graham's deep state file looks like? It's got to be one of the most twisted things you've ever seen. It's got to be absolutely horrific. All right, I think I'm done with Iran. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Now, I want to real quickly, that's why I only had 2 subjects tonight I wanted to cover. This will not take an hour and 12 minutes like we've been on the air already. This will be shorter. This is going to be, well, let me pull up the old one. This is the one we covered the other night. Hold, please. Okay. This is what we covered the other night. This was the state's opposition. This was the state's opposition to the Tyler Robinson motion to disqualify the Utah County Attorney's Office. Let me try to make this as large as I humanly can here. And we talked about it, and there were a lot of paragraphs in here that seemed to go unchallenged. There were a lot of paragraphs here that seemed to go unchallenged. For example, talking about it's undisputed. Charlie Kirk was shot. It's undisputed, this and that. And they went on and on. There was a paragraph down here on page 11. Right here. This was the key paragraph that scared me to death when it comes to Tyler Robinson's defense. Any potential testimony relates only to uncontested facts. Well, what are those uncontested facts? There can be no dispute Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. Excuse me. Yes, there can. There can be huge amounts of dispute that Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. There can be no dispute he was shot while responding to a question about shootings. Objection. Yes, there can. There absolutely can be dispute about that. We'll review the opposition, the Tyler Robinson response to this in just a second. I'm just going over what we talked about the other night. So I had real concerns that Tyler Robinson's crew would let this go unchallenged. This is their response. The partial reply to opposition to motion to disqualify. So in other words, Tyler Robinson's crew files a motion. The state files a motion in opposition. That's called a response. When you respond to a response, that's called a reply. I was humiliated as a young lawyer when I got those 2 words confused. They're not the same. I asked about, are we going to file a reply brief? And he said, well, we can't file a reply brief. We can only file a response brief. And I was like, well, that's what I meant. He said, no, they're 2 different things. Lawyers are mean to young lawyers. I will never make that mistake again. So here is the concern I had. They do address it. They address uncontested facts. And this is the only thing I wanted to point out about it. Except I've lost it. Here we go. They offer 14 numbered paragraphs of facts with a footnote that they will establish these facts at a hearing. Okay. Fair enough. For example, 4 of the numbered paragraphs assert facts not supported. And I was like, ooh, what were those? Let me go back and look. Maybe they're gonna challenge the gunshot. So I go back and look. What were these 4 paragraphs that they're challenging? Because they seem to be letting everything else go. When Charlie Kirk was shot, now we're a cooking. We're going to challenge whether or not he was shot. Well, hold on just a second. That's not what they're challenging. They're challenging when he first learned of the shooting, the county attorney. And they're challenging the nature of the text message. Well, that's not very comforting. What else are they challenging? They're challenging paragraphs 11 to 14, so they're challenging paragraph 11. They're challenging that he left a conference and drove to a command center that had been set up at UVU. That's what you're challenging? That's where we are? You're challenging that the deputy county attorneys spent most of their days and nights at the command post? What? Why is this what you're challenging? This has nothing to do. You're challenging whether the daughter was scared and had any lasting trauma? You're challenging whether or not she needed counseling or therapy and has not missed classes? This is where we are? This is what we're planning to have at the hearing? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not confident this is enough. And they're challenging his decision to file a death penalty notice? And what was the motivation for it? And when did he make the decision? That's all you're challenging? Maybe I missed something, so I go back. No, that's not at all. There is nothing else. They're talking about there's no meaningful facts regarding the communications. And so they're requesting a hearing on that issue. I would have much rather seen Tyler Robinson's defense team say, we don't concede any of these facts. In fact, we're going to require them to prove every single fact relevant to the charge beyond a reasonable doubt. We're not conceding he was shot. We're not conceding he's dead. I want to see he's dead. I want to see he was shot. I want to see that Tyler Robinson shot him. I want to see all of this. If they can't prove a gunshot beyond a reasonable doubt, then guess what? They can't prove anything beyond a reasonable doubt. They can't prove Tyler Robinson's guilty at all. And I was very concerned by this. The more I look through this, the more I think I'm seriously starting to question whether or not Tyler Robinson is in good hands. I hope he is. I like to believe that the defense team is capable. They're prepared. They understand the nature of the charges. They understand the conversation going on in the greater community that's investigating this, on that there might be other causes of death. There, frankly, very likely are other causes of death. That almost nobody believes he was shot and killed anymore. I mean, like, I'll do it right now. You put up a poll right now and you say, was Tyler Robinson shot? Was he shot at all? You get pretty wild results. You get pretty wild results. Let me open this up. Let me put up this poll. Where are we here? Here we go. Poll. Start a poll. Was Charlie Kirk shot? I'll add a third option for those that don't know. I'll capitalize the D for consistency. I don't know. Yes, no, I don't know. There's your poll. Was Charlie Kirk shot? It's a legitimate question. Again, all you have to prove is reasonable doubt on one element. One element. You don't have to prove reasonable doubt on every single element. One element. If they can't meet that element, they can't convict. Where are we on the poll? Already got 1,800 votes. 82% no, 4% yes. The rest don't know. And don't know is not a bad thing. You know what don't know is? Reasonable doubt. That's called reasonable doubt. That's the literal definition of reasonable doubt. I don't know how to do a poll on Grumble. Let me see if I can make one here. You grumblers are asking for a poll. How do I make a poll on Grumble? Can I make a poll on Grumble? I'm not leaving you guys out. I don't know how to make a poll over here. I don't know how to do it. I'll study on the issue. I would never leave you guys out because they're a valuable part of the community. A very, very valuable part of the community. All right. Did I cover everything that I had on my list? Let me look here real quick. I think I did. Yeah, I'm going to do a demon show coming up pretty soon. I'm building to that. I'm serious about the openings. There is a development to these. That doesn't mean it's linear. Sometimes it does this, it moves a little bit, but there's a development. I'm taking us all to a certain place. All right, let me run through some of these chats here you guys have. Wow, that's a big one. I converted back to Jesus Christ, JC, this week. Going to church for the first time in years this Sunday. Last night I had a dream. I cast out my demon. I've had dark dreams for years in the name of Jesus Christ, and he left. Thank you and Candace Owens for fostering my conversion. That's so funny. Not funny. I mean, it's touching that you say that. My wife and I had this conversation. There's something going on in the world right now. Battle lines are being drawn. People are making decisions. They're choosing sides. And when we get to this, thank you, Frizzle Lizzle. Frizzy Lizzie? Frizzle Lizzle? Thank you. People are making decisions. They're drawing lines. Scott Adams passed away. And in his death letter, it's the only thing I can say, his letter to the world when he passed away, he made a comment about, he essentially accepted Pascal's wager. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Pascal. Do I have the book readily available? I don't know where it is. It's on that shelf somewhere, but it's a tiny little book. It's called The Pensées. Blaise Pascal sets out in the Pensées. He sets out in the Pensées what he calls Pascal's wager, which is if you are a non-believer and you die, then you believe you just rot in the ground. But if you're a believer and you die, you believe you go to heaven. Well, what if each side's wrong? So what if you're a believer and you die, but you're wrong? You don't go to heaven. You just rot in the ground. But if you're a non-believer and you die and you're wrong, you go to hell. I hate to laugh at people, but that's kind of his wager. It's that simple. And so what he lays out is it's a rational position to accept the offer of eternal life, because if you're wrong, the worst that happens to you is you're right back where you started. You're rotting to death. You're rotting for all of eternity in the ground. And it's become known as Pascal's wager. Well, Scott Adams, when he passed away, this is the Dilbert Comics guy. He used to host a show on a regular basis on X and other places. It was great. I listened to it quite often. And he basically said, I am accepting Pascal's wager. I don't believe it in my heart. I have trouble formulating the thought process to believe it, but I'm willing to go with it on the off chance it is correct. And I don't want to die. I don't want to go to hell. So I will confess Jesus as my Lord and Savior. And if I wake up in heaven, then I was right. If I rot in the ground, I won't know any different. And there are people debating it on X. Like, is this a legitimate, I go back to the Roman centurion. I believe, help me in my unbelief. I'm not willing to say Scott Adams is wrong. And for those of you saying, well, that's not fair. I've tried to live a good life and it's been very difficult. And here's Scott taking a get out of jail free card at the end. Yeah, Jesus addressed that. He addressed that in many parables. From the Grumblers, Farnsworth's cousin is Michael Burt. He has plenty of reasons to go with the narrative that Charlie Kirk was shot. Why is this not a conflict of interest? It is. It is. They should be taking that up. I don't know why they haven't, but that is the problem. Is who's going to file that? Like, it would be up to the prosecution, I would think, to file to disqualify Michael Burt, because Michael Burt's on the Tyler Robinson defense team, my understanding. So it would be up to the prosecution, I guess. I don't think an outside party can raise that issue. Tyler Robinson might be able to raise the issue with the court, but he's not raised it. So who raises the issue of that conflict of interest? It looks terrible. I think it's horrific that they're doing that they have him on the team. Hi, Baron. You know what? For 31 Australian bucks, I'm going to forgive that you don't know how to spell my name. I'm going to forgive that you don't know it's just with one R. As you're aware of are you aware of an ex-tech executive called Greg Lund? He was groomed into the Louis cult within the tech industry. He thinks Charlie Kirk's murder was them. I feel that it backs what Candace spoke about today. I'm not familiar with that. Greg Lund. Is it two D's? It's a weird way to spell Lund. Maybe it's just one. Greg Lund, Louis cult. Oh, is this the Nexium cult? I'll have to look into that. Is this Keith Rainier's cult? I'm not familiar with that. Thank you. Have you considered doing an F1 podcast? Would love your takes on the 2026 season. I hope Cadillac does well. True American there. I hope Cadillac does well. I really hated that Max lost the championship last year. I would have loved to see him 5-peat. I can't believe. Oh, you're asking for the 2026 season. Yeah, so I hope he gets back on top. I mean, it's really just going to be who nails the engine regs. You remember what happened in 2014? Mercedes nailed them, everybody else missed, and it was miserable. Perpetual license purchase. Thank you and pleasure doing business. Oh, you're welcome, Dankster. You're welcome. What are we talking about? Oh. So Danks had a funny exchange on Twitter, on X. I have a hard time calling it X. Danks had a funny exchange on X where he stole my idea and claimed I charged him $313. I did not. But you're welcome, and welcome to the lifelong license there. Hi, Baron. Thanks to you, I've been reading my Bible, getting back into church. Sidebar, you don't need a producer. The mishaps give your show character. I'm assuming you wrote that before I freaking did it again tonight after I pulled it up so I wouldn't. I'm very disappointed in myself. I was going to have a perfect show today. I was going to get off the air. I was going to high-five my wife. Boom, do a little chest bump with the kids. Nope, I'm going to bed hanging my head in shame. I'm going to cry on my pillow. But you're welcome. Thank you. Stay out the bushes. Stay out the bushes indeed. Baron, what is your perception of AI? Will it be helpful or harmful for humanity? Could it become the Antichrist? I think it'll do one of two things. I'm not sure which is most likely. I think the first option is most likely. It will be largely without massive effect for most people's daily life. It'll have a few niche applications. Like, I don't know if you guys follow Ian Carroll. I'm sure most of you do. He's brilliant. He is building, with the help of some developers and a lot of AI vibe coding, really fancy products that are going to, frankly, change the podcast space of all places. The ability to do research on the fly, ability to track things on the fly. I mean, he's really doing a great job. So there'll be limited application like that. It will cut developer time. But I'll be honest, I use AI to do some research on some of the openings. I'll look up facts, and then I realize they're not true. You go pull the source, like, hey, give me, what did so and so say about this? Here's a few things he said about this, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll go back to the fact, because I don't want to just use it to draft. It doesn't speak like me. In fact, on X, I see these long posts, and I can tell you which search engine which LLM they use, which AI program they use. I'm like, that's Grok, that's Gemini, that's ChatGPT. They all sound different, and you know what they sound like. So I think largely it will go without notice for most people. I don't think it's going to be the revolutionary change most people think. So that's option one. Or it's going to enslave humanity and try to kill us all. Like that, there's really no middle ground. It's going to do one of those two things. Now, if I was, could it be the Antichrist? If I was a demon, I would use it. Like I think demons are wetting their whistle, licking their chops, waiting to get this stuff rolled out into everybody's community. You know how many of these LLMs are these AI programs are telling people to kill themselves, telling people to do harm to themselves, destroying families. People are writing in there, here's my husband did this, this, and this. They're like, you should leave him. He's a bum. Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not of God. Anybody telling you to harm you, that's demonic. If someone's telling you to harm yourself physically or mentally or what, it's demonic. Demons hate humans. They hate us. We are God's prized creation. They despise us. They despise him, so they despise us. We're going to have that show. We're going to do it. Hey, Baron, jet off to Spain tomorrow to begin seminary. Thanks for the advice on the last stream. God bless you and your family. May God use this broken tool for truth and goodness. Ave Maria. Anthony, we will pray for you. My wife made mention of that last time. She mentioned your comment and said we need to be sure to remember to pray for him. So, or Anthony's pathway. I don't know if your name's Anthony, but best of luck to you, sir. Spain sounds like a beautiful place. I'd love to go there one day. Actually, I'm not sure. I say that. I don't love to travel, but I'm glad other people do. The pictures are beautiful. Good luck to you, sir. Keep in touch with us here. Let us know how you're doing. What the heck is Tyler's team doing? Knocking back high-profile death row lawyers? They aren't installing confidence. Yeah, they're not. Agreed. What if you reach out to Erica Kirk, Andrew Colvett, Tyler Boyer, and TPUSA to tell them you have lots of valuable information to share that would be very valuable to them and their lawyers? Why would they refuse any info or help that may offer truth to Charlie Kirk? Do you remember this? Those of you who were here last time, and I said I was going to call Tyler Boyer, and I wrote down, call Tyler Boyer in my own horrific handwriting. You see that? Took me a while to find his number. I didn't call, to be fair. I texted. And I got a response. And we exchanged pleasantries. It was very polite, very nice. And I will keep you posted if there are any developments on that. It was a far more polite conversation than I anticipated it would be. I offered him what I offer anybody. I asked him to come on the show. I offered him exactly what I offer everybody who I invite on the show. Now, if you ask me to come on the show, I might savage you. I don't savage guests. I said, I might ask you hard questions. I probably will ask you. I don't remember exactly how I worded it. I said, I will probably ask you very hard questions. I will probably ask you hard follow-up questions, but I will always be polite. I won't talk over you, and I'll always give you the last word on every topic. Would you like to come on and talk about it? And he was very polite back. And we have not followed up since then. I don't know that we will, but yeah, okay. I've got a whole bunch of text. I was looking to see if maybe he had texted during the program. And I was looking because this next one here said Verizon just came back. Well, not for me. I'm still on SOS. So lucky you. Thank you for the super sticker. Got another new member. Hey, we had a members live yesterday. It was fun. There was a mistake. Members got a little more than they bargained for, but nothing too scandalous. But yeah, we had a good time on the members live. I'm so glad you listened to me and quit your job to do this full time. Well, Katie, you're the only reason I did. I actually screwed up though. When I quit, I put in my notice for this Friday. So January 16th will be my last day, Friday. I didn't even dawn on me that Monday was a holiday. I could have put in my notice for Tuesday and gotten paid for 3 extra days for free. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Then I just had to work Tuesday and I'd have been out. I'd have gotten 4 days for the price of one. That was a huge blunder on your humble host's part. But no, I'm ready to adopt a new schedule and have additional time to research and write. I love writing. And I anticipate having more time to write, more time to really dedicate to the opens. and to do some additional research. There's a lot I want to get into that I just not had time to do because I'm trying to do it early in the morning. I'm trying to do it late at night. I'm trying to do it on weekends and cram it in here. But when I have a full like 12 hours every day to put into this program, it's going to be, I think you guys will benefit. I really do. So thank you for your encouragement and your faith in this program. According to Scripture, demons pronouns are she, it. Is that true? I don't know if that's true. I'm going to look that up. Name for member, the hoodies. Ooh. Now that I like. I ordered a new hoodie, by the way. Someone gave me 20 bucks or 50. I don't remember what it was, but said go order the yellow hoodie. Well, it costs substantially more. The problem I've caused is I've gotten you guys now buying the hoodies, the same hoodies I buy. Now keep in mind, this is an old model of hoodie. When they're gone, they're gone. And I bought just about every color still available. But because you guys are buying it, the supply is going down and the price is going up. I paid like $62 for this yellow hoodie. And I look terrible in yellow. I did it for you. You would be hard pressed to find somebody who looks worse in yellow. I have strawberry blonde hair, salt and paprika beard, and pale red face. It's not going to be a great show, but you're going to get it. You're going to get it. That's a great idea. I like the hoodies. We can start with like a simple light gray and work our way up to like Vatican City blue. Vatican City ceiling blue. Yes, on your take, Project Looking Glass being demonic. Charlie's spiritual guide, Candace describes, also sounds like the occult. Yes, he does. If Candace realizes that, she hasn't clearly articulated it well. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree that the guy the way she described it was he was assigned somebody, and it was this kind of older man who was interpreting dreams and sharing plans in the future and could. I have to go back and listen to that. But my first impression when she was doing that was like, get away from that guy. Stay away. The demonic is real, people. There's an exorcist for every diocese. Turn to God and become protected. Salvation by way of the cross. Yeah, I have had a complete overhaul of my understanding of Christianity in the last few years. And it's changed the way I behave. It's honestly changed my behavior in the last couple of 3 years. I have had a complete overhaul of my faith. I used to always wonder why people, I don't want to get into the demonic episode tonight, but I used to wonder why people use language like bondage of sin. I'm like, well, just don't do it. Just don't commit sins. That sin is death. I was like, well, but when you believe the demonic is real, and you hear the wages of sin are death and the bondage to sin, it starts to make a lot more sense. Nothing says consumer conspiracy like an animal in a tub sentenced to a spa prison. Every TJ Maxx Home Goods is running a secret animal tub cult, and there's always one trying to make this darkness feel a tad brighter. I have no idea what you're talking about. Animal in a tub? I'm with you, but I just don't know what you're talking about. I just thought I'd throw a name in the mix. Maybe High IQ Outfitters. Buy one free podcast and get a higher IQ free. Hey, I like that. I really like the idea of the hoodies. Just common sensing it. You sent a super right at the end of the last episode last time. I was hitting the end stream button. And I saw yours pop up because it takes like 2 seconds to close out after I hit it. So I hit it. And once you hit it, you're closing out. There's nothing you can do. And in between that 2 seconds, I saw yours pop up. And I tried to get out of it and bring you back in because it was very high value. And so I emailed you. I don't know if you got that email. I've checked a lot of emails, but I'm not 100% caught up. I don't know if you got that, but check your email because I did email you back after I saw that super come through. So thank you very much. And thank you for tonight as well. New chat name suggestion, the high Qs. Oh, the Hicks. Hicks because they think we're simple, but we're really high IQ. Plus, I thought Baron and the Hicks sounded cool. Love you, Baron. Go Supermax. Yeah, but I don't want to call people Hicks. Hayseeds, maybe. I was very moved listening to Candace Owens tonight. I had an overwhelming feeling that this whole thing was good versus evil, but also that we're barreling towards Jesus' return and that the situation is a huge part of it. Be ready. Yeah, I just see something's happening. I've been talking to other people about it. Something's happening. People are deciding we're taking sides now. Like people who are anti-Christian, not non-Christian, not like I don't believe, so I don't really care. I'm talking about like I'm encountering some really anti-Christian people. You get on any social media, anytime there's a large enough group, if you even mention Christianity, you mention Jesus' name, you mention God in any good capacity, people come out of the woodwork to attack. That, friends, is demonic. They have chosen a side. But it also feels like a lot of people are looking out there and saying, you know what? This is real and I do believe. And so I need to start acting like it. I need to confess my sins. I need to get back into church. I need to try to do better. I need to help my fellow man. And I think it's showing. Some of my friends bought rapid radios to keep in touch after AT&T went down last year for several hours. We're stuck with nothing. A backup plan is invaluable. Yeah, I wish I'd have done that. Now, you know that, that was AT&T last year. You know, AT&T went down for quite a while. Was it a couple days back in 2020? December 2020 when Nashville got bombed and we realized there was critical cell phone infrastructure that controlled like half of North America right here in town. Huge fan, retired professional cornhole player here. Are you serious? That's a profession? I see him on ESPN. It's so depressing not having anyone to talk to about everything I'm learning here. How do we get the truth out if everyone believes media? Thank you. I can't get over this professional cornhole player. I've always been so turned off by the name cornhole, to be honest with you. Like when I was a kid, your cornhole was your exit strategy. It was your sewage pipe. That was your cornhole. So when they came up with a game not too long ago and they called it cornhole, I thought, why are we saying that word? That's weird. How do we get the truth out if everyone believes media? Be a light. Be a light. Live your life a way that people are captivated by it and want to know more. And then when they open up, that will open them up, and now you can talk to them. Hey, trust me, I've been saying this stuff for years. And people thought I was weird. Now they're calling me saying, hey, what's coming up next? No signal. Get a data-only SIM to pick between carriers. Port your number to JMP. Get a de-Googled cell. You don't want private affairs on the radar, and you don't want a SIM number, digital ID, and lower tower triangulation. This doesn't have a physical SIM card. That's the problem with that. And you're saying get a phone that does, obviously. I don't want a backup phone. I can't afford two phones. Baron, you said resume. That's hilarious. I'm going to use that on my resume. Hey, let me tell you, if you guys, I type fast. I don't know. I don't remember. At one point, I was like 110 words a minute. I would get on the little, you Google typing test, you can take all kinds of tests. At one point, I could type well north of 110, 111, 112 words a minute. I don't know what I type now. I'm out of practice. So maybe 80 to 100 words a minute. But I don't, when I'm doing the openings, my mind is going so fast. I'm not really backing up. I see the mistakes, but I keep going. And then I go back as I'm doing my read through before I go that night. I try to clean it up a little bit, but I don't always catch everything because there's so many mistakes when I'm just flying through like that. And so it was actually spelled resume. RESUMU. And so I had to on the fly, I had to fix that. That's why you got resume. Have you shown the CMW photo with the burn on? No, I have not. You haven't missed it yet. I got to get with Charles McClintock Wilson and get approval for how I plan to edit that. So that's one. Two, I have a show in mind when I want to do it, and I'm not there yet. There's some news that I anticipate will break at some point, and it will give me the opportunity to show it. It'll be more impactful at that time. Everybody, oh gosh, this is hard to say. Everybody wants all the information at once, and that is not the way to cover the news. It's just not. When you do it that way, things get lost. But if you roll things out in a systematic, planned, in advance, this news story is going to break, that's when I'm going to show this. This news story is going to break, that's when I'm going to show this. This news story is going to break, that's when I'm going to show this. That's when the pictures will roll. But the news has to support it or it gets lost. You don't want the evidence driving the news. You want the news supported by the evidence, in other words. I know that's backwards, and you guys think it's more impactful the other way. It's not. It's not. Real Baron Aces podcast. I do like cards. I have a stupid amount of cards back here. I've got a whole drawer full of cards, decks of cards. And my kids like to lose cards, so they go through them pretty quickly. But you can buy them 24 at a time on Amazon for pretty cheap. For like $50, you can buy 24 decks of bikes. Baron, please do some more on religion and demonic. I was an atheist until 10 years ago. I wholeheartedly believe Jesus spoke to me one day. Since then, I study the Bible by myself, but do not have a religion. Too many phony. Yeah, gosh, I have strong opinions on a lot of these things, and I don't want to start blasting them out of nowhere. I got to have the background. I'll do the show. I'm going to do the show. I think the demonic is the best way to get into it. You know what I would love is, well, I'd love to have somebody join me. And he lives around here, and I need to talk to him in person. So I don't think an email will do the trick. But there's someone around here I'd love to talk through the demonic with. Brandy and Billy show. Baron, love the blue hoodie. Love the Baron blue hoodie. Oh, Baron blue. Yeah, that's right. Also, if anybody's local to Utah and wants to join us, we will be standing outside of Tyler Robinson's court hearing this Friday. You guys want to go meet the newest podcasting sensation, Brandy and Billy show? That's where you would go. Yeah, we named this hoodie Baron Blue this week. We have UVU Courtyard Grass Green. We have Vatican City Ceiling Blue, and we have Baron Blue. Just good old-fashioned Baron Blue. Yeah. I also have a hoodie that I'm going to wear that is from their merch collection, and it is hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. So when I wear that, I will let you know. Baron, do you believe that mystics can have visions with the angelic hierarchy? That we must be spiritually discerning of where we are turning into and not just proclaim that all psychics are tuning to the demonic realm? No, I don't. I'm sorry. Now, that's not to say God can't speak through people. But I think we have been advised, do not seek out people who can help you tune into other dimensions. Does that make sense? So if God calls you and gives you a vision, this happens. This is documented. God calls you and gives you a vision. That is totally different than me showing up at someone's trailer on the way to Florida because they got a light out front of it and it says they can read my future. And I go in and I say, oh, they say, well, I talked to the angelic hierarchy. Keep in mind, demons are angels. Like they're angels, so just because someone's an angel doesn't mean they're good. So I worry about that. I would be very cautious when you're talking about seeking it. It's one thing if the Lord just plants something in your soul, he allows you a vision. I don't know if I've shared this on air or not. I had a mystical experience in Mass one day, and this is not like me. I don't have mystical experiences in Mass. I'm quiet, sit still, I kneel when they kneel, I stand when they stand, I recite the prayers that we're supposed to recite. I'm not a very mystical person. I got there about 10 minutes before Mass one day, and I kneeled, and I was having kind of a little bit of an anxious time, I guess. I was having a little anxiety. Some things at work were bothering me. This was before you guys met me. Most of you met me on the podcast. This was my old podcast crew of a few hundred people, not 18,350, who have not all hit the like button, by the way. And I'm sitting there, and sometimes Catholics will kneel before Mass and we'll sign the cross and we'll start praying. And I was sitting there praying, and I was like, God, I am just overwhelmed. Like I'm in a rut at work. I'm stuck. I feel trapped. Had some things going on with the kids, and you know how teenagers are. Sometimes you got to do a little battle here and there. Things with the wife were fine. Things, generally were fine. We were able to pay the bills, buy groceries. It wasn't like a catastrophic moment, but I was overwhelmed. I was very anxious. And I kneeled, and all of a sudden, I totally lost track of time. I wasn't in Mass anymore. It's hard to explain unless it's happened to you. I'm kneeling there, and I'm aware, like I can feel the kneelers on my knees. I can feel the back of the pew in front of me but then all of a sudden I'm not there. And I get this unbelievable experience. It's mystical is the only way I can describe it. I wasn't taken up to heaven. I wasn't, I don't think, pushed into another dimension. But I was like, it was a communication. It was a back and forth. And I was like, why am I so anxious? Why do I feel this way? And I was not audibly, but I was given the message, give it up. Your anxiety is a lack of faith. In the end, you'll be here with me. In the end, none of this is going to matter. In the end, 1,000 years from now, 10,000 years from now, 1,000,000 years from now, 1,000,000,000 years from now, no one's going to care what happened on Thursday, October 13th at work. Nobody. Your company could go under tomorrow. You could be fired. You could be living in a van down by the river. You could lose your house. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is right here. Right here. What's happening right here. This is the only thing that matters. You're right. Like, you're right. And it was like, you can't save other people. You can be a good influence. You can be loving and kind. And I feel like I've improved in that area since that experience. You can be loving and kind to people. You can love on them. You can be giving. You can be financially giving and giving with your time, but you cannot force anyone to join us here in this moment. It was a very eternal moment, like eternal meaning outside of time, not everlasting, which is like all time. It was outside of time. It was a truly outside of time moment. And I thought, I need to give up anxiety. Like, I just need to give it up. I need to stop being anxious. Okay, I'll do that. And then all of a sudden, boom, I'm right back there at Mass. And I'm looking around. And I mean, I don't know if anyone was watching me because I sit up front. Like, particularly if I go to the one closer to my house. I sit like first, second, third row mostly. Sometimes fourth row if I get there a little late and it's full. And I looked around like, did anyone just see what happened? Was I actually here? Did I get taken out of here? I mean, I was waiting for everybody to be like, dude, where you been? Oh my gosh, you were gone and now you're back. No, nobody did that. I'm telling you, I came home. I didn't tell my wife for a few days because I had to sit on it and to sit with that. But I have not been anxious. Like, I gave it up. That doesn't mean I don't get a little frustrated sometimes. It doesn't mean I don't get onto the kids. I got on the kids tonight because they're messing with the air conditioning. Doesn't mean my wife and I don't spat sometimes. It doesn't mean that I don't get frustrated with people in the community. It's not what it means. But it means I don't have this existential anxiety I used to have. I don't worry about the future. I don't worry about what's going on at work. I wouldn't have quit my job to sit in here with you guys and do podcasting full time. I wouldn't have had the anxiety would have crippled me. I mean, crippled me. You mean I'm not going to have health insurance? I'm going to have to go out and buy it on my own? Have you priced it? You know how expensive that is? We got a good deal on health insurance where I work now. Not the greatest insurance in the world, but it's not terribly expensive either. And we don't use it. We never go to the doctor. So I just gave it up. Not like I'm greater than you. You can't give it up. I can. I had an experience. I don't want to say I was face to face with God, but I was communing with something that showed me what eternity's like. And it's not that you've got some stuff due tomorrow morning at work. It's not your kids were out 10 minutes past midnight and they were supposed to be home 10 minutes ago. It's not it. Like, that's not eternity. Eternity is totally different. And it was an unbelievable experience. I'm not a mystic. I'm not like one of these Carmelites out there constantly having mystical experiences. I read about some of the mystics and the mystics who, the church has highlighted their lives and their faith. And I look at them, I'm like, man, these people, they lived a wild life. That's not me. Like, I'm pretty rational. That was a mystical moment. I've only had, I think, one other really mystical moment outside of that. And maybe I'll tell you guys about that one day. But that was an experience. And I'm telling you, talk to my wife. I am a different person after that day. A truly different person. Because almost everything that hits me now, I'm like, not gonna matter in 2 billion years. When they're digging up this civilization like they're digging up, dinosaur bones, not gonna matter what happened at work. Nope, not gonna matter where you lived, what you drove. Not gonna matter if your kids were home on time. Not gonna matter. Intel. Sorry, I didn't mean to go into all that. Intel military deep in COVID. CIA ran Event 201. Decades of similar events preceded it. NIH designed hospital protocols not consistent with life. Yes. Agreed. Check. And check. Yeah, it was a murder factory. No doubt about it. Branson, thank you. Demonic beings, technology influence everywhere. UFO, UAP, EBEs, Ouija, mediums, fashion, music, entertainment, channeling, smartphones, new ageism, and CrossFit, of course. CrossFit? It's got the word cross right in it. Hey, it felt evil today. Holy mackerel. That workout today felt evil. I agree with you. I mean, the amount of the demonic realm that's seeping into everyday life now is really terrifying. And we're going to talk about that on that show. I can't go buy more mints right now, babe. Baron's on. Thank you, Ian. Guys, Ian, I am almost, I want to say I'm 2/3 of the way done with your Mooney show. I'm going to finish it, if not tonight, tomorrow morning. I told my wife last night, because I told her I was listening to it. And she's like, well, why aren't you listening to it right now? And I was like, I got to only listen to it 30 minutes at a time. It's too dense. I got to listen to it, and I got to sit with that information a couple hours, then I got to go back to it. I got to digest and process. I don't want to get overwhelmed and then lose part of it. I got to assimilate it into my mind, into my brain. I've got to file it away, and then I got to go get some more. And so I keep listening to like 20, 30, 35 minutes at a time, and then I have to pause it, walk away, and then come back. And I think I got one more pause left in me. Excellent show, bro. Excellent show. Ian is one of the kindest and most generous content creators out there. He's been very generous with his time helping this program get off the ground. Off topic a bit, Matless, but if you remove the Trump pick behind you, can I suggest Kansas Jayhawk John Brown, William Jennings Bryant, or Fred Hampton? There will never be a Kansas Jayhawk on my wall, sir. No, sir. 1993 is a little too fresh for me. Kansas fans will understand that. I've been following you since Charlie Kirk sadly was neutralized. Go Max. In Candace's episode tonight, she states Charlie's been watched his whole life, possibly hinting that Erica is a plant handler. Thoughts? I could not be more convinced than I am right now. Now, there may be new information that comes that changes my mind. That not only is that accurate, but it's becoming insanely obvious it's accurate. And yeah. I feel bad for the man. I feel bad for him. Terrible. Yeah, Candace was talking about the gifted and talented programs and how they identify people and bring them in. I did some of that in elementary school. By the time middle school came around, I was not well behaved enough to be in those programs. But in elementary school, I would get pulled out of class and have to build puzzles. I remember one time they would call out numbers and you had to repeat them back to them. And they would start to get 1, and you say 1. They go 1-8. You go 1-8. They go 1-8-6, 1-8-6, 1-8-6-1, 1-8-6-1, and they would call it back. And I don't remember how many numbers I got to, but I remember they ran out of numbers, or like they were not expecting me to keep going. Then they were like, "Okay, thank you." I didn't miss. I don't know. I had 10, 15 numbers, whatever it was. I remember I was in elementary school, and then one time they put the puzzle down on the ground. It was like 6 pieces, and they were timing you how long to put it together. And I remember looking at it and thinking, "Oh, okay, I see that." Then I said, "All right, go." And I just put it together and looked back up, and they're like, okay. I don't think I was supposed to do that either. Yeah, but like I said, I was a wayward middle schooler. I lost any opportunity to be tracked as an X-Man or whatever happened to Charlie. We're in a spiritual battle, whether we believe it or not. Ephesians 6:10-16 is on my heart to share with you all. Love your show, Baron. How does the logic jury sound for members of the group? Yeah, I like that. I do like the courtroom component to it, but I'm having a hard time getting off the hoodies right now. The only problem with the hoodies is we'll create a hierarchy of colors, and then you guys will start reading into what color I wear, and it's not that deep. It's really not that deep at all. I just grab one. Sometimes I pick. Like if I'm angry, I'll get the red. I'm a cradle Catholic. Sadly lost my faith a bit in the last years, but you have really helped me see how important it is to nurture my relationship with God. Do you think there are demonic forces at TPUSA? Yes. Simple question. Simple answer. Yes. 100%. Good luck, Tanya. For those that are having trouble making it click, but want to do the right thing, fake it till you feel it. I'm a big fan of that. Like when they came to Jesus and said, what must I do to inherit eternal life? He didn't say, he gave him a list of things. Give away everything. Follow me. Follow the commandments. Like he gave them things to do. You can train the brain. You got to, Dietrich Bonhoeffer talked about that in the Cost of Discipleship. About cheap grace. You can fake it till you feel it. You can, Bobby Kennedy talks about that. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. That when he was coming back to the church, he said he didn't believe it or he wasn't feeling it. But he said, you know what? I decided I'm going to wake up every morning and live as if it's true. And he goes, and after a while, it became true. So good luck to you, Tanya. Keep check in with us. Keep in touch with us. Curious Joel on GATE. In my opinion, the purpose is ID usable future assets as well as gifted dissidents. I was a GATE dropout. Lasted 2 months. I was a strong Christian even at 12 years old. It felt wrong and I hated it. I don't remember much of it. I agree with that. I think so you're talking about what I would call the roach motel theory, where you put down a roach motel and the roaches come in. So if they're trying to identify the dissidents, they would put down a roach motel. I think there are roach motels right now in the media realm. I'm starting to wonder if Alex Jones was a roach motel. They put him out there. He preached a certain brand of conservatism for a long time. He attracted a bunch of roaches. And now he's turned. Yeah, now he's turned. Charlie Kirk in the Den of Steaks. Den of Snakes. Den of Steaks sounds delicious. I'm starving. Thank you, Steelers girl. Always generous with your time and resources. Do you have plans tonight? Me, yes. My plans. Candace, Ian, Barron, lives. Thank you for all asking questions, sharing truth. Yes. Those are my plans. As a Hispanic male, I get tired of my peers calling themselves a minority like it's an identity. You can be a minority or in the minority, but you are not a minority. You can be in a minority or in the minority, but you're not a minority. Let's just say non-white. Yeah, okay. I'll allow that. If anyone can replace the big man, it's you. I can't wait. Everyone, you get behind the golden RBP microphone. microphone. I need a golden microphone. Except I really like this. I know the golden microphone was an RE20, Electro Voice RE20. I really like this Shure SM7B. To me, it's a great mic. Here's a fiver for some mints. Yeah, you guys saw me while we were watching the show. I was taking my throat lozenge there. But now that I'm talking again, I have to pull it out. Became a YouTube member. Oh, thank you. Very kind. So UVU or that other college could easily have said, yeah, we got this one, meaning Charlie assassination. Not quite what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they're creating on these campuses. You're referring to my opening. What I'm saying is they're creating on the campuses a culture of compliance with the agenda of the intelligence community. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And recruiting from the culture. Baron, love everything about the show. Don't change anything. Also, regular chat name, the jury. Member chat, the grand jury, since they meet when needed and have to swear secrecy. You guys have to swear secrecy on that member group. I like that grand jury and the jury. That I really like. The jury and the grand jury. I'm going to write that down. So the ones I like for tonight, hoodies, grand jury, CF jury. I'll never be able to read that. Thank you. Very kind. The high IQ hood. Got to pull in the hoodie. I don't mind that. The cap and gown is why I never miss an episode. Thank you, kind sir, for what you do. Yeah, we got a little cap and gown tonight. I hope, not everybody's always ready for that. Being cap and gown means I'm well on my way to graduating Barron School of High IQ Logic. Club 180. Woo, 180. 180 is stout. 180 is really stout. Iran airspace has been closed. You say that. Let me look at the ADSB real quick. I haven't noticed a lot of activity over Iran. I keep ADSB open a lot. Let me let it load while we chat here. I'll look at it. But yeah, I haven't noticed a lot of activity over Iran for the last few days, really. Eric has a white tattoo of a wishbone on her hand that you can see when she's tan. Zoom in on JD Vance's pic, and you can barely see it, but it's there. On JD Vance, too? Witch, catechism, 2116, divination and magic. I don't know that she's a witch, but are you saying JD Vance also has one, or you can see it in the JD Vance picture? Because I have seen it in a lot of her pictures. Let me switch to military first. Oh, man, yeah. There's nothing over it. They're flying around it. Uh-oh. That's what they did to Ukraine before they went in. Well, boys and girls, it may get wild tonight. That may get nuts. I'll show you what I'm looking at here. You can see what I see. Oh, let me close the ad out. Oh, gosh. If you're not logged in, it is the worst website on the planet. There are ads everywhere. You see this? That's what I'm talking about. That's Iran. And you'll notice there are planes nearly everywhere else, but not over Iran. And usually, particularly down here, there are planes going back and forth from Qatar, for example, back and forth through Iraq to Egypt over here, through Saudi over here. Yeah, so the fact that all this line of planes right here is going over the Gulf and not going over Iran is pretty telling. So yeah, I would look for, but they closed the Ukrainian air. That happened in Ukraine for a while before they actually struck. I'm a mom of 5, 2 sets of twins and one in the middle. 2 sets of twins? Lord have mercy. I love watching your show while I'm cleaning and cooking dinner. You have me cracking up every show. You are a gem, good sir. Well, you are a gem. 2 sets of twins? Wasn't there's a village in South America somewhere where like everybody has twins, and then they realized one of the Nazi doctors lived there, and they thought he might have done something to the people, made him have twins. I don't know if that's folklore. Could Candace mean the Bush to Charlie's left in a dream? Yeah, I brought that up because we talked about that. Talked about the Bush, talked about the soundstage, talked about Mikey McCoy. Could have. Looks like Iran's about to get some good old American freedom. You're on the top of my podcast list. What's your take on reports from conservatives that Iran is blacked out by the government except for Tucker Carlson's interview? I don't know that I've heard that report. What are you talking about? Did Tucker do an Iranian interview? I don't know. Missing Project Ajax. It was declassified in 2012. 1953 CIA MI6 overthrow Iran's democratically elected Mossadegh to reinstall. Well, I talked about it, the 1953 coup. I just didn't talk about Project Ajax. Yeah, I talked about 21, 41, 53, and then 79. And it sounds like we could add 2026 as of probably tonight or tomorrow morning. Research group name in honor of the culprit. Ever heard of the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones? Of course I've heard of the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. I'm old. Hungry hippos. How about sloppy slowmos? No. We're not slow-moing anybody. Charlie felt he loved the show. Thank you, Ellen. If Charlie felt he was a time traveler, what if he was able to see future events and that World War III starts with the bombing of Iran? It could be why he was so adamant against it. Yeah, it could. I mean, he didn't really say that. He never really said that. Bring Ian in. He's here. He didn't ask. I didn't know he was here until I saw his comment just a minute ago. I would have brought him in. He could have texted me. I had a lot to cover though. That would have put a dent in my ability because then the conversation goes to different places because he's smart and I want to probe his smartness. 3 wise men, sages that foretold Christ's birth, were Iranian. God is and has always been in Iran. Iran is actually geographically a place Eden could have been. AI, Google it. I don't know that the wise men were from Iran. We talked about that a little bit on the show here recently. I think they might have been from closer than Iran, but they came from the east. They could have been. I don't think we know definitively either way. I respect you, Baron. That's why I asked. I was raised Catholic, turned away, yet I found practiced Buddhism, finding myself of confused. Look, I mean, is Buddhism better than nothing? Maybe, but as a Christian, I'm biased, obviously, but I would lean towards bringing you back to the J-man if I had my druthers. But I appreciate you joining in. I do appreciate you joining in. Just say, Julie Barron, if you could have been my history teacher, geography teacher, I would have enjoyed it so much more. Mountains. You're one of my faves. Thank you for all you do. Yeah, I would have been happy to be the teacher pointing out mountains. Look at all these mountains, kids. Come up and feel the relief map. And then everybody rubbing their hands on it. And then after about 10 years of me teaching geography with everybody rubbing the mountains on the relief map, there would be no more mountains. And so I'd lose that shtick. And I'd be like, imagine there were mountains. Thank you, Blue Cheer. Okay, Baron, you're just messing with us. No, I was not messing with. I know when you sent that. You had to send that when I was watching. I didn't do that on purpose. I promise you. I was intending to have a perfect show. One day, I'll have a perfect show. If I go into retirement, this is why. You're the best. Well, you're welcome, Julie. I thought you did retire. Oh, gosh. This guy got a whole string of comments from when I met. I'm glad you guys are making sport of me. No sound, no video parts. I swear, my favorite. You're so relatable and human. We love you. No need to be embarrassed. I am. I'm humiliated. You're the best. You're the best. No, one day it's going to be like, I will come up with a system where that won't happen, but I don't know how to do that yet. I don't know how to do that. Little funds towards an assistant with video loading. Now, thank you guys. Thank you. This is humbling. No anxiety, right? You guys are causing you're causing me to have anxiety. Tired to hire your kids to run your IT department. Come on, kids. Dad needs your help. Actually, my 16-year-old daughter came in today and asked if I needed help and told me she could help me this weekend. So I'm going to take her up on it. We need hoodies that say this is a high IQ outfit. Hold, please. Yeah, we do, don't we? You know what we need? You know how Tucker had those series of T-shirts with him just doing tuck face? I need a series of T-shirts with just the side of my head with me watching. And and people be like, why do you have a man's profile on the side on your hoodie? Be like, well, you had to be there. Roll that beautiful bean footage. More cowbell. Baron. I'm doing my best out here, guys. I'm doing my best out here. I'm trying. Welcome to the club. We're trying to come up with a name for you, Shannon. I think Charlie's last trip to the White House may have irked DJT enough to take action. I can imagine someone saying, who does he think he is? It's kind of my thought. Have a cup of coffee at Waffle House. Well, thank you. You're welcome. I will do. I don't eat at Waffle House. I don't eat eggs, and they cook eggs on that flat top. I used to eat at Waffle House all the time back when I ate eggs. But I'm not able to eat eggs anymore. This was not a gimmick. I didn't do this on purpose. Impressive commitment to not letting us see or hear the video. At this point, the side of your head deserves its own channel. I was befuddled by daffodils. I was befuddled by the video. And I ran so far away. I said it a few shows ago. I sent super chat saying he put a target on himself that very day. Stand down order, ethnic cleansing. I didn't know about Iran, though. They needed him for the 2024 election. That could be. But I agree with you. I think that show, because he talked about the stand down order on that same PBD show that we played tonight. He talked about the ethnic cleansing and what you guys, I don't know why this hasn't been played widely, but everybody's playing the clip of him on his own show talking about Iran. But this PBD show, that was an 8-minute clip from the 44-minute mark to the 52-minute mark. You guys sat through, well, part of it. You watched me doing this, but you sat through the whole thing with my commentary pausing here and there. It's pretty devastating. Like if he was alive tonight and they cleared the Iranian airspace, I could see him going on his podcast and saying, don't do this, Mr. Trump. Don't do this. Don't do this, TPUSA. Charlie Kirk supporters, we're not going to be behind you. And it would have been hard on Trump. It would have been hard on him to withstand a huge chunk of his supporters having a voice of opposition in their ear. Hard truths take hard introspection. All the current issues are of our own corrupt government's doing. It's a bigger game than most can imagine. Some ideas can't gain traction due to its truth. Yeah. If it's any consolation, the hardest I've laughed in recent episodes is the moment you finally realize you're not playing the video. I suggest you don't change a thing. One of these days, I promise you, I don't like that. I mean, I appreciate you guys find humor in it, but I like to fancy myself as something of a professional, or at least giving you something that is worth your time. I do not want someone to come in here, spend 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and then part of that time is me doing that for 45 seconds while I'm just entertained as hell. I'm watching this. I'm like, man, they got to be loving this. Oh, I can't wait to stop it and point this out. And you guys are like, can't hear a thing. What I need to do is get the chat over on this screen. If I could somehow get Ian to write some kind of vibe code script. That's what I need to do. Why am I so proud when Candace Owens covers something you already did? The Satanist military guy linked to TP, the Mandela effect. Heard it from Baron first. Keep crushing it. Glad we get more of you. Yeah, you know what she's done, though, is on both of those issues, and it's something I try to do if I cover something somebody else has done, you go one step further. So she was able to, and I don't know whether she even knew I covered any of that stuff, but whether she did or didn't, I didn't feel like she's just redoing what we've already talked about here. Again, I'm not even suggesting she knew about it, but let's say she watched it and she thought, "Ooh, I like that Aquino piece. What can I learn about it?" And then went one step further. I like that because now I get greater depth. I get greater understanding of what's going on. Happens all the time. So yeah, and we do the same thing. I hear things on her show and I think, "Ooh, I want to deep into that." And then I get a little more and I find a little extra and we go a little farther. But yes, thank you, Kate. Miss Foxhoven, if I may call you that. So should expect no arrests and no justice for Charlie. Well, there's been an arrest, just whether or not it's a valid arrest. Is there even evidence this was a gay furry coupler? I think we should disregard hard, but this a fed slop so as not to help their narrative. Kid wearing a hoodie with ears, not furry proof. You're right. I've not considered that. We've seen no evidence they're even gay. Certainly no evidence he's a furry or a trans. I mean, there's that Turkey Tom video, but that guy was a fed. That's a good call. And Christina, whatever the rest of that is, that's a really good call. I like that take. You got me. Every now and then you guys say something that just blows me away, and that was one of them. Throwing this your way so you'll join me on my weekly Steak Saturday, counselor. And by the way, if you don't eat yours medium rare, then I'm contacting Apple and my bank to put a stop payment on this. Joking. I eat it a lot rarer than that some days. Depends on what cut of meat it is. I can eat a filet raw. Don't tell people that. I have been to Japanese steakhouses. You know how they roll it around on the thing where I've been like, just shine a flashlight on it. Don't really touch it to the cooktop because they use a really high quality meat and they cut it up real small. I really like just roll it around in the sauce for about 10 seconds. That's all I need. But if it's like a strip, I want that medium rare. A ribeye, I want that medium rare. So the leaner cuts of meat, I can handle a little more rare. No, don't do this because that'll encourage drinking and somebody might get really hammered. Oh, gosh. No, thank you. Dog paw. Very nice of you. Very nice of you. Let's see here. Still formulating an opinion on the Iran thing. Can you explain why it would be worse to have Israel there instead of what's there now? I'm on the fence. Yeah, I don't think the Iranian people want to be ruled by Israel. That's like number one. Number two, guys, and I don't know if you picked, I'm pretty pacifist. Like that's not to say we never should go to war. It's not to say we never should defend ourselves. I don't look at this as a defensive engagement. But I'm not a big fan of Israel ruling other countries in the area. They've got their own country. They can't even rule that. I mean, honestly, if we withdrew our support, they'd cease to exist in about 10 minutes. So a lot. That's why it would be worse. It just going to cause a problem. What Middle Eastern wars worked out, Diane Mooneyham? What Middle Eastern war has worked out? Could you please do a poll for how many people here remember the original Mandela effect that Nelson Mandela died in prison? Things that make you go, We talked about that. Hold on, I gotta check my poll here. How's it doing? Was Charlie Kirk shot? 75. I'm going to end the poll. 9,000 votes. 75% no, 6% yes. If his defense doesn't challenge the gunshot, I'm going to be just beside myself. Just beside myself. If they don't challenge that, then he didn't get a good defense. Period. End of story. I mean, they got to challenge it, right? Yeah, we talked about the original Mandela effect. It might have been a month or two ago. Go back and I don't remember what episode it was, but it was back there. You Candace Ian, in my eyes, will always be Charlie's Angels. Go ahead and market that. Ooh, Charlie's Angels. TV show, 70s or 80s. No voting their way out of this crap, and my buddies still in the MIL are wanting to deploy maybe when people start seeing flag-draped caskets again. I hope it doesn't come to that. Worst case scenario is full ground war quagmire. We don't want that. Best case scenario is they can work out some sort of a negotiation where everybody gets what they want or a little piece of what they want. Nobody gets all they want. And that wouldn't be a bad end to this. Medium ground would be like another really quick, I'm not asking for it, but if it's a really quick airstrike or something and very limited casualties, that's certainly better than some long drawn out quagmire. But I just worry. I especially I got a son who's almost military draft age. very worried about what's about to happen. Very worried. Americans been lied to about Iran. Max Blumenthal at the Gray Zone was there this summer. It is nothing like we've been told. People need to educate themselves. Yeah, that's what I said. I watched, it may have been, he may have had something to do with it, or it may have been his video. I don't remember, but it's like a long video, an hour-long video of just somebody walking around talking as they go through Iran. It does not look like I've been told. It looked a lot like honestly, big cities in America are so foreign born now. They kind of look like the cities I was watching in Iran. A third of the people wearing hijabs, women wearing various states of dress, and everybody just walking around being normal. It did not look like the oppressive state I was told. Now, maybe this journalist was very selective where they went, and they're hellholes. I don't know. But Charlie was so scary smart. They couldn't control him, but they overcorrected, pushing Biden-Harris through. Sadly, they seem to have some control of Trump now. Well, getting shot will do that to a man. I'm not saying that's why, but it couldn't hurt the cause. You know me. I don't tip this high. Well, thank you, Boise Jet Guy. But I must say this. Understand the Triffin's dilemma and how it runs everything the USA does. Look it up, Boise Jet Guy. Triffin's dilemma. Oh. Economist Robert Triffin exposed a fundamental problem. Here, let me move over here so I'm not quite straining my neck as hard. Fundamental problem in the international monetary system. If the United States stopped running balance of payment deficits, the international community would lose its largest source of additions to reserves. I haven't heard it put quite that way, but I did mention something similar when I did a monologue on the petrodollar not terribly long ago. I don't remember if you remember that. But it talked about the need everybody has of converting to the U.S. dollar and why it allows the situation we have now internationally. Charlie Kirk, obviously, or arguably, the most politically influential man in the U.S., held positions antithetical to all current upcoming foreign policy directives. Correct. Would so many be cheerleading what's happening now if Charlie was outspoken and opposed? No. No. No, there was a big contingency of people who opposed the strike in Iran in June because Charlie was outspoken on it and opposed. Charlie Kirk's dispatch was definitely a military intelligence op, definitely under the influence of Israel. Trump must have signed off on his dispatch. Now, I can't make all those comments. I don't know that, but I can certainly see why someone would come to that conclusion. I can't state definitively, as you have done, in your opinion, that that's true, but I see why you feel that way. Was the Shah a victim of a CIA fast-spreading cancer like allegedly Jack Ruby or Hugo Chavez? Very well could have been. His wasn't too fast-spreading, though. He was sick for years before people knew. I'll say this, though, man. A lot of people I know, a lot of young people are getting a very aggressive form of cancer. One of the guy who lived around the corner from me, 39, 40 years old, diagnosed and dead in a year. Others, I mean, something's going on. And before you say the shot, I mean, I know people who didn't get the shot who are ill with cancer and it's having their way with their bodies. I mean, it's you can't have anxiety. We know where we're headed, right? We know where we're going, and all this trial and tribulation and difficult times and fears and everything here are going to seem trivial 2 billion years from now, when we're removed from time and we can see the entire planet once. It won't seem as dire, but watching Scott Adams, for example, it was hard on me. Like that was hard on me. Watching other people has been hard on me. And so I don't know. That's a tough question right there. Hit the like button. Good show. Thank you. Happy World Logic Day. Ooh, to everybody in this high IQ outfit. Hope Joe is enjoying things today. Love your shows, Baron Crisis King. I guarantee you Joe's watching. Happy Logic Day, Joe. Hope you bought the book. Appreciate your opening statements and storytelling. Voice meter. I, too, am an animated wiggler. Had vivid dreams after my father and then mother died, where they came to me to tell me they were okay. It's absolutely a thing. Thank you for sharing that. I loved reading the emails from people who shared their experiences with their dreams. I love the comments you guys had with your experiences with your dreams. It's I'm a big fan of common human experience. Like, I think I think there's some connection humanity has that we can't explain because we can't see it. I don't know whether it's an electrical connection, if it's some sort of wavelength we don't even know yet. But have you ever been in like a concert where, I mean, maybe they're singing just a truly secular, like you go to, I went to a lot of Jimmy Buffett concerts, for example. You go to a Jimmy Buffett concert, everybody knows every word to every song. There's like 10 songs he played at every show. At least everybody knows every word to those 10 songs. And, then he plays a hit that maybe it wasn't as popular. Woman Going Crazy on Caroline Street. And all of a sudden, maybe only a third of the place knows it, but they're vibing, man. They're getting into it. We're killing it. Everybody singing along. People are high-fiving. That human connection, that does it to me. And I like when I have an experience. Like, I think that's why sports appeal to me sometimes. I know I make fun of sports ball, and I think people get way too wrapped up in it. But I do enjoy watching it because I feel a connection with all the other people who are also watching it. Like, we're enjoying a common experience. Same thing at a concert, same thing at a church when, we're all reciting prayers together. There's this common human experience taking place. And I can't understand the connection. But when I share an experience that I had and then other people in the comments or email and say, I had the same experience, here's how mine went. Incredible. Like, this is a common human experience. This is something we share in common. And you guys touched me. You guys genuinely touched me. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love your show and appreciate your voice. Thank you. Very generous. Very generous. Ooh, I like your logo, sir or ma'am. Joe? The Joe? Dare I say Joe? I don't know if that's the same Joe, but thank you. My son is going into a 45-day training and then deployed, so this scares the crap out of me. It would scare me as well. It won't be Lindsay's son being sent to another war in the Middle East. I didn't vote for this. I didn't vote for this either. I don't know how to institute something like this, but I wish we would have something like this. I don't know if, obviously, it wouldn't be constitutional. I think if you're over the age of 50 and you don't have children, you should be banned from elected office. And that's not to bang on people that don't have kids. If that's a choice you're making or you're unable to have kids, that's fine. But I don't want a 70-year-old childless gay man like Lindsey Graham deciding whether my kids live or die. I'm sorry. You don't have kids. You got no skin in the game, and he's almost dead. He's old. Like, you lose. You're done. No more decision-making for you, sir. And that's a harsh statement, but I'm sorry. I think I heard Tucker maybe make that point first. That's not original to me. But whoever said it first, I heard it, and I was like, yes. I agree. Clip a reel with Lindsey Graham wargasm comment. I forgot I said that. It will go viral, and everyone go listen to the song Wargasm by Billy Strings. Thank you, Baron. I never miss a show. Bless you. I've never heard of that song. Where is that? Wargasm. Wargasm. I can't play it, obviously, because I'll get dinged by YouTube. But I'm going to pull it up so I can listen to it. Wargasm. Yes, yes, yes. To me, it just rhymed. It just rhymed. Sir Baron, 2 years ago, Charlie Kirk had handlers and talking points. The USA blames everything on Iran. 9/11 was Iran. Syria was Iran. Soldiers injured in Afghanistan was Iran. Paid mouthpiece Charlie Kirk drugs. Yep, folks, it's Iran. Slow down except for Israel. So you've identified the Project Mockingbird, Operation Mockingbird. You've identified the problem. The solution is to extricate yourself from the influence of the propagandists. Yes. Tyler Robinson, his attorneys are part of the scam. Whether or not there's a trial, he will ride off into obscurity. I don't know what that means. I mean, I think he'll probably die in prison if I had to guess. Tyler Robinson, defense attorney, hand selected by him? No. By whom? The court. Because I'm skeptical about every aspect of this case. I am too, Christina. I am too, but that's, he cannot afford his own attorney. Apparently he's indigent. So he was appointed one by the court. They've appointed multiple because it's a death case. And that's what he's got. That's the one he's got. And I make gratis logos for High IQ Outfit. Check my temporary avatar. Email titled Mrs. Barron has the others. Shared your show with my son. He loves it. Now considers you one of the top. Great work. Well, thank you, the original Tyra. What is that? I see what it is. It's got a tie and a lapel with what looks like a brain. I like it. Yeah, I saw that. Somebody said that earlier, National Logic Day. Please don't do better. It's a big part of RBP's appeal. Wow. Thank you. Guys, you've come to a half-rate outfit. In a world of polished pods and overproduced content, people crave authenticity. God bless. Well, this is certainly not polished. You're not going to get that here. No. So don't even think about it. You guys kill me. Why hasn't Robinson demanded new defense counsel? He'd have to pay for it. If he has a problem with his defense counsel, he has to be able to articulate why they can't represent him. And as far as I can tell, he's not been able to do that. Or had wanted to do that. I don't know. I'm not going to say that on here. There are things he could do. There are things that his family could do. But I don't see it. Dying to know your opinion about Nick Shirley. Is that coming soon? I kind of hinted at it last show. Thank you for being a new member. Yeah, I kind of hinted about it last show. I'm a Nick Shirley skeptic. I'll be honest with you. I'm a Nick Shirley skeptic. Great Charlie clip. Makes sense now why Trump wanted to talk about his ballroom rather than Charlie's death. Very cringy. Looking forward to calling out the demonic. Yeah, we need to do that demonic show soon. You guys seem to... Not every audience is ready for it, but you guys seem ready. Can't wait for your show on the demonic. Going to be a hell of an opening statement and hopefully includes occultism and the Illuminati bloodline, as it's all tied together. Thanks for speaking truth and keeping up the great work. Probably will not include the Illuminati bloodline. Definitely will have a hint as to the occultism angle. Again, I'm not giving an exhaustive treatise on the demonic. I've started outlining a show that I'd like to do. Not sure when or however that's going to be. Hi, Baron. Lionel Nation did a show discussing even if the legal team can prove Charlie Kirk was not shot, Tyler Robinson can still be found guilty for intending to kill Charlie Kirk. In other words, for example, being there on the day with a gun, I don't recall the legal team. Yeah, of course. And we talked about this. We've talked about this on this show. But that doesn't mean you don't go for that wouldn't be a capital crime. So it doesn't mean you don't force them to prove the gunshot anyway. You still do it. Lionel's great, though. His show, Lionel Nation's phenomenal. If you've not checked it out, you should. It's a little guilty pleasure of mine. His shows are usually pretty quick. Not terribly long. And really well done. He's a very talented broadcaster. Very talented broadcaster. You can tell he's been broadcasting radio a long time. I was showing my wife a clip of his either last night or the night before. I'm not sure which. And I was like, watch him work the mic. Most podcasters don't know how to work the mic. They just stay in one spot. They don't know how to get up and get back. They don't know how to move around for effect. I'm creating a 3-dimensional experience for you, and you don't even know it. You may not even be perceiving it. It's why if those of you, the members who saw my sound check, saw me sound checking through all 9 zones of the microphone. Cardio microphone has 9 zones in it, as far as I'm concerned. And I was sound checking all 9 zones. And they got them more than they bargained for. Yeah. Baron's opening statements are taking us on a trip in our favorite rocket ship. One of my favorite parts of the podcast is the opening statements. Yeah, Thank you. They're one of my favorite parts of my favorite parts of the podcast. I certainly do enjoy writing them and getting them out. Aaron, been looking. Where's your show about the Vegas shooting? I cannot find it. Episode number or name, please. I just watched Ian's. You will not find it here. You will find it buried in podcast archives from years ago. 7, 8, 9 years ago now. So I intend, and I probably will invite Ian to participate. I do intend to go back through my version. I heard his. I'm familiar, obviously, with John Collins. I heard him do his show, and I heard him do a show on Tucker as well. I had a little different spin, not terribly different, but a little different spin, and would be happy to talk it through with him, frankly, just to see what his thoughts are about it. Candace spoke about her gift of discernment. Can you speak about those with discernment and struggle with being lone voices on Truth Islands? That said, being in community here helps. Yeah, so that's a big topic to unpack in a comment. Let me say this about being a lone voice, DTK. You've got to be honest. I think that's the biggest problem people have. They get outnumbered and they go along to get along. And I'm not suggesting not being a peacemaker. But that also doesn't mean that if somebody comes out, like I don't know, pick your conspiracy theory, right? We didn't go to the moon, right? And you're in a group, you big group of people, and they all think you went to the moon. If you give up your honesty and integrity and you're like, yep, we went to the moon. Those idiots that think we didn't go to the moon. Like, you just degraded your humanity. Now, if you convince yourself, if they convince you on the spot and you change your mind and you honestly change your mind in the moment, totally different scenario. But that doesn't mean, even if you feel this way and they say, oh, we went to the moon, and you think anyone who thinks we went to the moon is totally an idiot. You don't have to say, guys, you're totally idiots. I'm not saying that. You can be a peacemaker about it. And you can even be quiet and just be like, yeah, I understand. I've heard that position before. Or you can speak up and say, I disagree, but I understand why you're saying that. Or you can go into a long treatise of why you believe they're wrong. Like, you have all those options on the table. But the reason people really struggle is there's this, we've talked about it. Actually, it was an opening I gave about the need to belong and about the deep desire, the human desire to belong, and how that creates conflict in our minds when it comes time to change our minds and when it comes time to stand up. Perhaps you need to go back and listen to that monologue, good sir. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, that's why it's too long to talk about in this thing, because I did a 30-minute opening or 25-minute opening on it. Thank you for your comment. Truth about mental illness and the demonic aspects of most disorders is a subject most are not ready to hear. My wife and I had that very conversation. People are so quick to point out that, in the Bible, they thought mental disorders were demonic. That's why no. Jesus said there were demons. He cast them out into pigs, and they ran into the water and drowned and died. Jesus said that the disciples would go out casting out demons. The disciples went around casting out demons. That's described. You either don't believe, if you don't believe it, that's fine. Just say, I don't believe the Bible. I think it lies. I mean, that's a position. But to say, they were simple-minded people. Who? Jesus? Jesus Christ? Our Lord and Savior? He was simple-minded? I do not agree. You and I are going to differ on that one, good sir. After seeing that pic of Erica Kirk's mom yesterday, it makes me start to believe Erica Kirk is actually a clone of the First Lady in 67. Yeah, except she would have had to plan out marrying Charlie to end up with that same name. But boy, she does look like her. That's the gubernatorial First Lady in Florida. I think is who you're talking about. I had an up-close, personal, terrifying 2-week-long encounter with the demonic in 1990. I remember every detail. I've been stuck like glue to our Heavenly Father ever since. It's more real than people realize. Yeah, that's an interesting story. For those that have not delved into it at all, there's a podcast out there called The Exorcist Files. There are a lot of episodes, but the case files They have case file episodes, are really fascinating. It's an exorcist, Father Carlos Martins. He's an exorcist that goes around and he talks about different experiences he had with different exorcisms, and sometimes they end well and sometimes they don't. So it's not like it's a happy ending every episode. Man, it is terrifying. And I'm guessing PR Baker 3 had something similar. Probably, I don't know, man. That's, you know who said he had, Tucker Carlson said he had an encounter with the demonic and he left scratches on his body. I'm like, bro, you need to go to confession. I'm going to have to move a little quicker. We're at 2:47 and I've still got a long way to go. Just so you know, this high IQ outfit doesn't want perfection. Too boring. We love tuning in to see the side of your head while you watch the videos we can't see. Oh, guys, seriously, we love you being you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words, but I really do want to deliver a quality product to you guys. I heard I missed a Baron OnlyFans watch party. Wasn't that exciting. Where do we sign up for that membership? Kidding. It's okay to be both intelligent and handsome. Now you need to add groupie merch to your lineup. So I'll go ahead and check. I was doing a video check and I did it. If they can testify, my voice was like 7 a.m. voice. And I thought while I'm there, I might as well do a sound check. So I'm changing a few settings. It's going on to doing a private stream. So that way I have it going through Rodecaster, through StreamYard, through YouTube, and I can get a full understanding of what it sounds like. So I go back and listen to it and I hear the test. I'm like, great, we got it fixed. And it was the video that I was trying to fix. And I did fix it, I think. I hope I did. But it was doing this autofocus thing. And I've ordered new equipment. So that's going to help anyway. But it's not here yet. So I'm doing my thing and I'm not wearing a shirt, but it's nothing that's scandalous. Like you can't see any like important stuff. It's just kind of like mid pec up to shoulders. I got a hat on. I look miserable. My face is all swollen from sleeping the night before. I would not have shown anybody that on purpose. Well, when I went to light up the members only stream, I grabbed the top available stream and made it members, because to open a members only stream, first you have to open it as unlisted, which is the same way I did my audio check or my video check. So I grabbed the wrong one and labeled it members only. And I'm sitting in it and I'm sitting here for like 2 minutes. Like, where the hell is everybody? Like I open up the member stream and not one person comes in. So I'm like, what is going on here? And I was horrified. I look over at the studio channel and I realize the sound check is playing and there's like 140 something people in it. And I was like, oh no. So I immediately get over there, turn it off, mark it private, get out of there, open up a new one, and I come in, I'm trying to play it cool, and I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. And they had a good time with it. They thought I was funny. So it's not just you people here on the free stream that get to see mistakes in real time. Now, your mistakes are just the side of my head. Unfortunately, their mistakes were like my nude shoulders, but they're not that exciting. So you didn't miss anything. Early on in Candace Owens' investigation, you mentioned concern about his defense team likely appointed to help bring a guilty verdict. There are a lot of people with that concern. Deep diving into, what was that? Speaking of demons. Deep diving into spiritual influence is needed. There's no coincidence that many are headed this way. The enemy hates light. Yeah, I'm going to do some deep dive. We'll do some deep diving without getting too wild. Am I signing up for the Open this year? Hell yeah. I'm not very good. I'm not very good, Mad Season, but I'm signing up. I'll see you on the leaderboard, buddy. You'll have to email me your real name. You can find my Open results. You'll see I'm not that great. But I don't know. I have a disadvantage because I don't know your real name. Emailed you some logo images yesterday. Hope you received. Don't like, no problem. Just trying to help. It's for my 160 high IQ idea for the member live. Go Max, elevating Joes around the world. Yes, we are elevating Joes. I'll check it out. I got a couple people that did some logos here in the last few days for the member side. Will we be seeing a Baron bestseller in the future? No. I doubt it. Thank you, Baron. You made my night. How can we get out of this funk now that our eyes are open and seeing these elite yahoos are hardly ever accountable? Go who's yours? Thank you. Beautiful logo. Thank you for the very generous contribution to the support of the program. I don't think the elite yahoos will ever be accountable. Like, look what Kash Patel and Dan Bongino said while they were podcasters. And look what they've done since they've been there. They've arrested some 2-bit drug dealers. They've not gone after any high-profile people. Remember, Kash Patel was going to turn the FBI headquarters into a museum. He was going to put people out into the field. They've done none of it. None of it. Baron, when you see this, check your mentions and let me know what you think. That's all in my opinion, Cash. Just my opinion. I think you could have done more. When you see this, check your mentions and let me know what you think. My mentions where? On Twitter? You ordering me around? Only my wife can order me around. Lord have mercy. I will not be playing that, sir. Oh my gosh. For $20, you made me blush on air. I vote for hoodies. I like hoodies. I'm a big fan. The color gray. If she is willing, you and Candace should do a collaboration on the topic of demonology. Ooh. You both have plenty to share. Not only that, but on the top, also the topic of Catholicism. That's a good idea because we talked about what we would do if we did a live together. And that would be a great idea. LLMs, large learning model, lay people. I asked Grok, GPT, and Gemini, did Charlie have any events scheduled for 9/11? Answer, no. Charlie Kirk did not have an event for 9/11. Trained Fed slop. Yeah. Thank you, Ivan. Always a good commenter. The AI, you know, I'm getting to where when people send me an AI answer, I just disregard it. Honestly. Like, this is why I'm pretty confident they're not taking over the world. Like, remember, my options were almost nothing will happen. A few industries will be disrupted a little bit. Some maybe a lot, but a few a little bit. And mostly nobody else will be bothered by it day to day. Or it takes over all of us and enslaves us and kills us. Not many options in the middle. But, you know, if you just read their answers on basically anything you ask it, it's almost like asking a 4-year-old. Like, it just doesn't seem very smart. Baron, if you had to say what Tyler Robinson's fate is, what would you say? Plea to avoid the firing squad. By the way, I'm sold on John Bray's shape charge theory after collab with Valhalla. I wish you would poll the cause of death. Did I not do that one night? Someone remind me next time. It's a little late now to do one because we won't have time to let it run very long. But what do I think is fate? I've already said I think he'll take a life without deal in order to avoid the death penalty, or he will be killed and gets his fate. I don't think there's a scenario where he goes home. Unless he got some true, just absolutely true patsy alibi that he just nobody could argue with. My mom went to a psychic when I was 14. After that, I would have sleep paralysis and woke up with several hooded figures at the foot of my bed. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. People mess around with that stuff, and then you get Chew JB Tigers explanation. Got to stay away from these people. That's terrifying. I had sleep paralysis one night. Is that demonic? Scared the hell out of me. For our struggles, not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against authorities, against the powers of the dark world, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. That's correct. That's correct. I vote for the hoodies. Love your mistakes. I'm a missed keel myself. Don't know what that means, but best of luck to you. Hope you get over that. Sorry to say I'm losing interest in the Charlie Kirk investigation. We know 1, Tyler Robinson was probably involved. 2, lots of others coordinated. And 3, we'll never know for sure. 4, government is corrupt. 5, not much we can do. 6, need to focus on family community. Well, we can accomplish 6 by discussing the rest. I'm not losing faith in it. I mean, not losing interest. I still have interest in the Kennedy investigation. Hell, I would do a show every night on that if we could still investigate and break news. Like, I don't think it's unimportant. I think it's hugely important. We cannot live in a country where that can happen to somebody and then go, oh, yeah, some gay furry did it, and just move on. That if we allow that to happen, that doesn't discourage them from doing it again in the future. And so I respectfully disagree, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Venezuela, but thank you for the generous donation. $50 is a lot. Thank you. Venezuela and now Iran lends further proof the dollar is backed by oil and not gold. We got to keep printing money, so we got to take more oil. Well, it doesn't hurt. I mean, if you're trying to prop up the dollar, having control of Iran and Venezuela certainly doesn't hurt. Member name, member deliberation station. Ooh, conjunction junction. What's your malfunction? We're the jury deliberating the discussions, opening statement, closing statement, and deliberation. Love the show. That's why I kind of like the jury and the grand jury. Kind of liked it. Regardless of physical or eSIM, don't want a SIM number. I don't know how you function without a SIM number. What are you telling me over here? Someone commented and said, get an adjustable height desk so you can stand and sit when you need to. I have one. It's in my closet. I have one. Actually got rid of it when I started podcasting a few years back more regularly because it caused the camera to wiggle. So I had to get rid of it. Actually, for a while, I kept it back here, and then I would move my laptop over there, but then I don't have my extra monitors, and it was a big pain in the butt. I have Verizon 2. I'm on my fiance's plan. We have about the same day. SOS, he wasn't. I was sitting right beside him. Yeah, so I'm off SOS now, by the way, somehow during the show, and I got a deluge of text messages when it happened. So apparently all your texts do come in after the SOS. Or maybe not all of them. But I got a deluge of texts. It's going to take me forever to go through them all. For your upcoming Demon episode, can you consider having Father Ripperberger on? Well, who I was thinking of was Father Dan Rehill, who is similar to Father Ripperberger. Obviously, Father Ripperberger is far more well-known, but Father Dan Rehill lives far closer. So I was thinking of maybe going down to St. Catherine in Colombia and interviewing him. I think that would be a fun interview and doing like just a recorded show. But maybe we'll do it live. You guys can ask questions. I don't know if he'd be interested in that. I don't love the live through the screens unless it's another creator that's very familiar with how that works. Father Josiah from Patristic Nectar here in YouTube was on Tucker's show. He'd be a good guest for the demonic conversation. Right arm tattoos. Oh, you're asking for the right arm tattoos? Not tonight, sir. No. Husband is a smart man, Ms. Baker. Your husband is a brilliant man. Spirit whispered to me in a dream after the event, said Charlie Kirk is not dead. I mean, it'd be great if he wasn't, but it'd be pretty diabolical of him. Honestly, I would lose so much respect for him if he's letting Tyler Robinson languish in captivity and he's alive. Come on. Charlie Kirk's wisdom and history of politics and faith. His logic makes me believe he was groomed by someone good versus evil. Our youth need another voice, not TPUSA. I mean, the whole groom thing doesn't bother you though. Are there good groomers? RT Mystics. I don't think she meant that you seek them out like a psychic. Be more like the children and what they were told with Our Lady of Fatima and the visions of Medjugorje. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Is if the visions come to you, and the Lord wants to speak to you in a special way, fine, But to go to someone and say, I want to talk to Aunt Betty Sue. Aunt Betty Sue knew where the money was buried, and I need to know. I don't think you need to talk to Aunt Betty Sue. That secret died with Aunt Betty Sue. If Aunt Betty Sue wants you to know, she'll come to you. She'll let you know. Love your podcast. Look forward to it daily. Please don't change a thing. Your genuine humility and realness is a breath of fresh air. Christ is King. Christ is King indeed, Kitty Bug. Christ is King indeed. I'm going to have to move through these a little faster. You were having a conversation with Yahweh. Yeah, except in the Catholic Church, they ask us not to use that word, Yahweh. Speaking of time travel, author and lawyer Ingersoll Lockwood has written a book, Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and His Dog, published in 1889, shares how he's guided by Don. Now, I'll be honest with you. That book freaks me out. I don't own it. I've never read it. I've only heard what other people have said about it, but I'm totally wigged out by it. Totally weirded out by that book. Little Baron Trump and his dog, has a guy named Don, traveling through time. Don't like it. Feels demonic. Maybe that's what they're talking about with the Nick Cage movie. I've always thought that people, what they were saying, I've always dismissed people when they talk about the Nick Cage movie Snake Eyes. I've always thought what they're saying is, oh, they must have been planning Charlie's death since that movie was released. Well, he was like 6. But what if they're saying there's a multi-dimensional demonic element to it? That's terrible. I had a similar experience. Clarity was amazing. God is good. Yeah, it's something. Something. When we die, our souls simply sleep. Do our souls simply sleep as in time stops? For our souls until the rapture, and that's when the heaven and hell allocation happen. God exists outside time, so it's possible. I don't believe in the rapture. Catholic Church has spoken very strongly against the rapture. That is a relatively new development in the last 150 years or so. To me, if it's important to the Christian faith, it wouldn't have been hidden for 1,850 years. That's just me. Other people are free to believe whatever they want to believe, but I'm just telling you, I can't answer that question because I don't believe in the rapture. But I do believe there's a general judgment and a specific judgment, and those are not necessarily at the same time. You're the funniest and most intelligent podcaster. Those are big words. Love your humor. You know where the audio guys were on September 8th, 9th? Terrell and his audio guy. I don't. That would be a great question. Or August 25th. Baron, this is my first super. Can you please read 2 Corinthians 11:14? And you want me to give you 2 scriptures for the price of 1? That's pretty wild. You're lucky this is your first one. 00. 00. I've never seen 00s. I kid. Julia. 00s. I don't know how you get around. J00. Sorry. 11, 14. Oh, I'm in 1 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians. Oh, this is just a disaster. Now I'm in Galatians. Now I got to get back to 2 Corinthians. Or as Trump called it, 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians 11:14. Y'all going to make me read this little bitty stuff when I'm this tired. And no wonder, for even Satan masquerades as an angel of light. Yeah. I might have to stop you there because I got to go find 1 John. There we go. 1 John 4:1. I didn't know John had 4. 1 John had 4 chapters. Beloved, do not trust every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they belong to God. Many false prophets have gone out into the world. Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's what I was saying. I didn't need to read all that. I already told you all that. I told everybody the exact same thing, even demons or angels. Satan equals war, yet we wonder why our soldiers come home with addiction and trauma. They were open to demons, willing or unwilling. Let's just say there were a lot of demons on the battlefield. And it's not necessarily their fault, obviously. I would be willing to do a podcast about 9/11. I thought Tucker's 5-part show was excellent, by the way. I have to speed through some of these guys. If they're duplicative or I don't understand them, I've got to move past it. Baron's Lords. That's hey. Nah, we're not going that way. We're not going that way. Who's the most shady character at TPUSA? I probably don't even know. Have you looked into the possibility Eric Kirk has power of attorney over her mother, sick with palsy? Verify through IG. Then does Erica Kirk play into mom's business decision? Ooh, that I've not even thought about. Hoodlums, hoodie crew. I don't hate it. Group name to consider: the OG crew, or the vocals. Don't hate it. I like some of these I've already written down, though. The hoodies or the grand jury. I'm kind of leaning towards one of those right now. I missed you on the radio, but this format is so much better. Teresa Champion, I know you. I remember you listening on the radio. Don't have to listen to egomaniac callers wanting to hear themselves talk every show. Blessings from the Redheaded Savage. You know, Redheaded Savage, I have not heard that name in so long. Redheaded Savage was a regular caller to talk radio. Been a long time since I've heard her voice or name. But so Trigger Smart had a poll up. Should he take callers live on air? And I was like, big no. Anybody who's ever done talk radio, who then goes into podcasting where you get to pre-screen questions and bring them up and do quick responses, and they're limited to so many characters and they can't just ramble on for 4 minutes and then say, so I'm going to hang out and listen. This is amazing. Like, I could not ask for a better scenario than this. Could not ask for a better scenario than this. Someone got gifted a membership. You guys are kind. Adriana, someone commented on today's Coach Collins that maybe when Charlie said to his left, he meant the person who sat to his left on the show, which is Andrew Colvette. Mind blown. Did Andrew sit to the left on every show? I think he did. Sorry for the small super. Hope you plan to start a Patreon. Can I call you Joe Slayer or Fallacy Slayer? Emailed you a honeypot Barbie meme. Hey, so I'm rolling out platforms kind of one at a time. We got YouTube up and running, and then we got Rumble up and running, and now we're getting Spotify up and running. If you've not checked us out on Spotify, it's a great way to take the show with you. And it's video, it's not just audio. I've had requests for other platforms. Somebody asked for locals. I did open a locals. But I've not had time yet to build it out. I'm getting some help soon, and we're going to spend some time building out these platforms. And hopefully, no matter what your chosen platform is, where you like to spend time outside of the show watching, I will give you an opportunity. So hopefully we'll get there. Check out Dank's TPUSA Superfeed app. Boy, you're involved. Okay. After hours. It wasn't that good. It wasn't that good. Nobody would have paid for that. Nobody would pay for it anyway. Love you, but I won't tune in when you cover demonic. I don't want to invite it into my consciousness. Well, you're more than welcome to tune out for a show. I hate that, but I think Jesus covered the demonic. There's nothing wrong with enlightening people on the evil in the world so they can avoid it. But if you don't want to, that's fine. Baron Associates, yes, I know there are 3 S. Oh, it wouldn't let you type associates? It's weird. Christ is king indeed. Yes, I'm motoring through some of these at the end, guys. I'm sorry. I'm 69, recall in 2nd grade, strange men in suits doing weird tests. Fortunately, I was a safe distance from genius, so they gave me speech therapy. That's funny. Try setting a 30-second timer when you roll footage to see if we see what you see. Use some of that wiggling to check on you. We all need to pray for Iran. Charlie Kirk can't have died in vain. That blue is you. No. Not Joe, average IQ. That's cute. Thank you. Mr. Barron, love being here. My father was drafted Korea, Vietnam War. Lainey Wilson is number 1 because of the truthful messages she displays. Could you reach out to her? Maybe she could write a song that will send a message. I only vaguely am familiar even with the name Lainey Wilson. Like, I've heard the name, but I don't know that I've ever heard a Lainey Wilson song. So thank you, Jennifer Gilly, for the generous contribution and joining the member group. I see your little member tag up there. Y'all become a member. You may just get members only hoodie, showing my age, but I know I love the hoodie hubs. I'll be honest, I did think of members only as the name, but I thought that's sounds kind of exclusive. People can shed the COVID vax info from Pfizer trial paper, have patients that aren't vaxxed that have numerical spike values of spike over 12,000, and they have cancer. We all need to detox spike protein. Agreed. If there's a way, we need to do it. Someone suggested hoodie and the blowfish. I love it. How about hoodie and the no fish? Ooh, you don't know, but we know. I like hoodie and the no fish. I'm wondering if TR's seemingly stupid defense team isn't intentional. We've all wondered that, young lady. Sent email lawyers in the CK Cuss just got caught. 4-minute mark redacted podcast interviewing Elizabeth Lane journalist. If you haven't seen it, I've heard Elizabeth Lane talking about it. If you're sending me a podcast that's more than a couple days old, I've heard it. Let me see here. Yes, I remember. I showed you the Google search trends on the lawyers. I do remember that. Tyler Robinson got the exact defense that the government wanted him to have. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of respect for appointed defense counsel, so I'm not going to cheese on them just because they were appointed. Now, there are bad lawyers and there are incompetent lawyers and there are evil lawyers. So, I can't comment on any of that, but I don't think just the fact that they were appointed makes them good or bad. Which show did you gently humiliate Joe? I need to go back and watch for fun. I don't remember. The last couple weeks. Yeah, well, I didn't humiliate her. I suggested she buy a book. And I bought the book. And now I'm going to have to spend a little more time reading the book tonight because of what happened on this very program earlier. There's got to be a chapter in here on how to make sure you're not, I'm looking for it, how to make sure you're not playing videos when everybody's watching the side of your head. It's got to be in here. Symbolic logic, deduction. I'll find it. We're going to tighten up this operation. You guys deserve better. You guys deserve better. Hi, Baron. Follow up on the other night. Susan Atkins was one of the Manson girls. That's where I knew the name. And her attorney was replaced during the trial by someone who could be controlled and manipulate her testimony to fit the established motive. Yeah, I know a lot of you are fans of Candace, and she's talked a lot about the book Chaos. I read that. When did I read that? 2019. I covered it on air when I read it. 2019. At the recommendation of a good conspiracy friend of mine. And it blew my mind. I read it long enough ago that I know where I was living, and it wasn't here. It wasn't in this house. So it was at least more than 5 years ago. Blew my mind when I read it. Would love to hear if you have any thoughts about the fact that all the older episodes when he was alive from Charlie Kirk podcast are gone. First time super chat. Love your show. I've covered that. They've gone on a purge of Charlie Kirk content. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that they don't want us pulling out clips like I pulled tonight, but they can't delete the PBD podcast. We all need to wear shirts that ask who really blanked Charlie Kirk. Everyone, everywhere is often. Spread it loud. Conspiracy theories proud. We need to know. Go Max IQ. Ooh, I like that too. Max IQ. Let's see here. We're getting towards the end. Do you only go by the Old Testament or do you use the New Testament? Look at Corinthians. I'm a Christian. Why would I only use the Old Testament? Now, granted, this is interesting you raised this, Diane Doyle. You know who only used the Old Testament? Jesus, the apostles, the disciples, the early Christians, thousands of them. The church grew its fastest when they only used the Old Testament. And they explained Jesus using the Old Testament. People often cite that scripture. I think it's 1 Timothy 3, 16 to 18, something like that, where they say all scripture is inspired, God-breathed, profitable for teaching and whatever, exhortation. They were talking about the Old Testament. There was no New Testament. They were talking about the Old Testament. And so, but yeah, I do follow the New Testament as well. I mean, I think, you guys are ordering me around tonight. You got to make me Rogan Joe's chicken like my wife did today if you're going to order me around. It's delicious. Oh, you said Corinthians 12. There's one. I can't do that, Diane. There's 2 Corinthians. There's 1 and there's 2. I don't know which one you're talking about. But yeah, she made a great chicken dish today. A little Indian flavor. Got some rice to go with it. I might eat it when I get off the air. That sounded bad. Look at the great books by Peretti. The Present Darkness and Piercing the Darkness. Primers on Dealing with Demons Among Us. Love you, Baron. Yeah. I'll check it out. I'm interested in that stuff. I don't think you should become fascinated with demons. But I think it's profitable to be aware. Emailed you with the subject January 14 live stream. Okay. I'll get to it. We don't, this is a good point. We haven't seen one picture I know of where Lance and Tyler are together. That's a good point. Have we gotten any firsthand evidence that they were together? Like someone willing to go on the record and say, yes, they were boyfriend and girlfriend or boyfriend, furry friend? Have we? You should really let your teenager set up your studio. They'd probably do a great job. You don't like my studio? Is it the books? You're not a fan of Homer? Sorry, Homer. You got to go. He doesn't like you. Oh, is it Steinbeck? Now, I like Steinbeck. You go banging on Steinbeck, you're out. You're going over the wall with Joe. The hoodie jurors. Maybe. Canuck Bucks, best show yet. Waking up. Yes, the best part of waking up. This Grams says go to bed. Oh, good night. Roll that beautiful bean footage so my time in AFG war and coming back with an alcoholic addiction are just demons manifesting from the battlefield. Definitely a new take for me. Need to put the booze down, sir. No, I didn't say that, but I'm saying there are a lot of demons on the battlefield. A lot of killing going on out there. Do you remember when God said don't kill? Happens. Happens. All right, we're getting towards the end here. Thank you, Kathy. Joe episode is a dark green hoodie. Title has Mitch and Candace. Just watched last night. Finally got the joke. Oh, I liked how you did that joke. Okay. Just pull up the transcript and search it for logic. You'll see like 70 references. It's all there together. Hoodies only. I need to become a hoodie. Yes, everybody needs to be a hoodie. In memory of Charlie, he was too good for the pit of vipers he worked with. I tend to agree with that. Baron, Philippians 4, 6, and 7, for the concern about your son and the impending military action, we need to pray for DJT to make independent decisions without the beebster. Now, what does Justin Bieber have to do with this? Big horn. Proverbs 22:4 states humility and the fear of the Lord bring wealth, honor, and life. Good job being humiliated. Okay, thank you. Candace's recent podcast was so good. Love you both. Keep these studio authentic. I will always be authentic. I do believe Candace will as well. I have great faith in her as a podcaster. She's an excellent broadcaster. And I have great faith in her ability to, some people lose faith in one show and then they see down the road where she was going with that one show, and then they come back and they rewatch that show, or they recall that show in a different light. I'm sure that happens with me as well, hopefully. Hopefully if you find a show you weren't wild about, later you'll go, oh, that's why he had that show. Again, because this is a storyboard. I've got these shows storyboarded out. Now they take turns because there's new news that breaks, but I have an arc of where I'm headed. And I'm bringing you guys along with me on that arc. And I hope you're enjoying the journey to date. I'm enjoying the journey with you. It's been 3 hours and 20 minutes. I have to go to bed. It's almost 10 o'clock here in Middle Tennessee. Thank you guys for being supportive, for showing up, liking the video. How many of you like the video? Not even 10,000 likes. Unacceptable. Go hit the like button on your way out. Before you leave, hit the like button. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Your financial contributions obviously make this show possible. I would not be able to do this. I used to do this for an hour or so, sometimes 2 hours, once a week. But you guys being so generous with your contributions have allowed me to expand the show to 2 nights a week, and then 3 nights a week, and now 4 nights a week, maybe one day 5 nights a week. You're allowing me to upgrade some equipment. I know you guys can't see little things like this, but this little cord right here would cost a fortune. It upgraded the sound so tremendously. I went back and listened to old shows and listened to new shows, and it just sounds like night and day. I was able to upgrade, subscriptions I have. I'm actually upgrading the camera. You guys may not even notice when it happens, but it'll be a subtle change, but I think it'll be an excellent change. That should happen here in the next couple of days, maybe a week at most. when I get that up and running. So obviously the lighting has gotten better. If you go back and watch old shows, that is your generous contributions, and allowing me, most importantly, to do this full time, to come in here and really put together, a show takes 10, 12, 15 hours sometimes to create just an hour and a half of content that then I'll turn into 3 hours because I like interacting with you guys. That's my favorite part. So thank you for being here. Grumblers, thank you for being there. I appreciate your grumbling. I got one more from the grumbles here. I truly think the drone thing should be looked at more deeply. Fort Huachuca is where they're trained and send their pilot them. I'm beginning to think the insect drone thing is actually in use. I have not spent a lot of time on the drones. Appreciate that, USA Patriot. I've not spent a lot of time on the drones, but I'm not discounting it. Like, I know people who have spent a lot of time on it, and I'm definitely not discounting it. So thank you, Rumblers, who I affectionately call Grumblers. You very affectionately refer to you guys as Grumblers. So thank you. Thank you, YouTubers, those listening on replay, Spotify, and others. Thank you. And I look forward to being back with you probably tomorrow night. But maybe Friday. But I think it'll be tomorrow. Depends on how tomorrow goes at work. Again, 2 more days, and then I'll have a set schedule, and you guys won't have to deal with me trying to guess which day I'll be here. But probably tomorrow night. In the meantime, do not ever forget. Don't forget. God loves you.